Hello, my friends. Hello, welcome, welcome. I am Omar Krieg, your Lord and Commander for the Krieg Dominion, and your host for tonight's events, episode 12 of Second Star, a Traveler 2300 AD role playing experience entitled Insertion. And joining me, of course, tonight are my same three crazies who, for some reason, enjoy hanging out with me and playing these silly tabletop role playing games. I've got Charles, Agent Wiggles, and I suppose we could stop calling him the intern, and now we'll just call him Prospect. Thurgor is with us as well. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Let's start with some intros. We'll start with Charles. What's new and exciting in your part of the world?
Not much, really. It's the enjoyable summertime. Um, I will say this up front, and I'll give you the details when we get offline. Near the end of the month of August, I'm traveling, so I'll probably miss our Wednesday event. Late, right near the end of August, just because of a family vacation get together thing. So,
Well, I
but
guess
yeah,
Charles will be leaving the group and never returning. I'm kidding.
uh, yeah, no, I fell into a good deal for a trip, so we're gonna maximize it right before kids go back to school and stuff like that.
Well,
So,
absolutely. That's
yeah.
that's the best way to do it, man. Get the kids out
Yep.
there, get them
Yep.
get them involved, and all that stuff.
Yep. Complete with the. Are we there yet?
Oh yeah.
No.
I have to use the bathroom. We just stopped. Yes.
Yeah.
Traveling with children.
You said you didn't need to go before we left. All that fun stuff. Yeah. Um. Yeah. So anyhow, we got that going, and then work is work, and things are better for there right now, and it's all good. So I'm ready to start this, and I'm not crazy. You all are crazy.
Mm-hmm. It sounds exactly like something a crazy person would say. Speaking of crazies, and no longer an intern and is now a prospect. Actually, I'm just making up bullshit. Thurgor, how you doing, my friend? What's new and exciting in your world?
Well, let's see. It seems like yesterday was Wednesday. Uh,
That's a
this
good thing,
last
right?
week has just flown by. I guess so. Took my kids back to the airport on Sunday, and while I was over there, of course, I got to deal with all my vehicle woes. Of course, you can't find any help on a Sunday to help with that, so I'm still having vehicle woes. But I did grab me a kayak and a crab pot, and now I am set up to do some of my own crab fishing in the deeper water instead of just collecting them along the beach and stuff. So I'm looking forward to that.
It does sound like fun for someone
Yep.
interested in doing those sorts of outdoorsy things. I play too many tabletop role playing games to do that, but I hear crabbing is fun.
Well, it's not so much about the crabbing; it's about the eating.
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, sometimes you got to work for it, So,
Yeah, I'll have to paddle a little bit. It'll be all right.
yeah, yeah. Agent Wiggles with three G's in his name because why not? How you doing, my friend? What's new and exciting in your part of the world?
The third G stands for gallant.
Okay, all right. I'll try not to forget that. No promises. I forget a lot of shit.
111. It'll be 111. That's all I care about. 111.
It's all that's on your mind.
111.
uh,
Excited for my next traveler session. They'll hopefully be going to Palik. They're gonna investigate a green box, which will let me introduce the villain, and hopefully they'll get into a duel. I really want them to get into a duel than the two nobles. I really want that to happen.
nice.
Really want. Pretty sure it's gonna happen. I'm not gonna force it, but I really want it to happen.
Yes, I can tell you as a GM, it is hard to gently corral your players in the direction you want them to go. Because obviously, as players, nobody likes to be really railroaded, unless that's your sort of thing. Like, when we get to this area, let me do this. When we get to that area, let me do that. And but yeah, it's not much different, I imagine, than if one were to try to herd a clouder of cats, which I believe is the actual technical term for a group of cats. Clouder. I am, of course, Omar Krieg. You can find me on all the socials. My socials are blasting away all up underneath my face there. Twitter and YouTube and Discord invites and all that crazy stuff. I am the game master, the storyteller, the guy that runs all this stuff, that comes up with all these crazy ideas and tries to put it into place, and then watch my players decide to do their own thing. That's last part's not entirely true. They actually been following pretty well along. They have gotten me a couple of times, and I'd be like, you know what? That's a great question that I was not prepared for. In fact, I think one happened last week. I don't remember the specific question now. But yeah, and this is, of course, Second Star, a Traveler 2380 role-playing experience where we give our own interpretation of the Traveler 2300 universe as portrayed by Mongoose. They're using their second edition rules and some crazy ideas that I pull from previous source material, from earlier editions, and things of that nature. Let's see. Previously, on Second Star, the Far London ship Wayfinder and her crew have transited the space between stars and have arrived in the Ogoros system, having come from Neubayern. This place is more of an outpost, but an important one. And shortly after arriving, a station at the far end of the system is suddenly reported to be without power. Ever in the interest of making more money, I mean making Flex look good, like the good guys they're meant to be, Commander Wyatt convinces the captain to intervene, and the ship and crew suddenly depart Ogoros Station or Innsbruck Station. As the team draws near, a form of shortwave communication is established with a local, I really wish I hadn't written this word in here, a local constabulary, the local security.
Police force.
Yeah, when I wrote this, I put that word in there, I'm like, I'm gonna nail this word, and now I'm like, wow, past me was a jerk. Let's see, where am I? Shortwave communication is established with local security, and a means by which to enter the powered down station is determined to be via a hatch on the exterior of the outer ring of the station. Our opening sequence tonight, let's see, black, nothing to be seen, but the view shifts and reveals a star field before us, and the camera pans towards a frozen ball of rock and ice glowing lightly in the field of view. The camera zooms in closer to the planet and centers on a spinning disc in space, and at the bottom left corner of the screen the words Innsbruck Station, Ogoros System, 2000 hours, 10th May, 2297. The camera adjusts the view again, zooming closer in on the station, and now the ship Wayfinder can be seen positioning itself with some care along the outer rim of the rotating station. Vectors matched, closing the last few meters between an outer hatch. Closing the last few meters between an outer hatch on the ship and a corresponding hatch on the hull of the Innsbruck station. And inside the ship now we see a number of people armed and armored in battle-rated vac suits, ready, waiting for the green light above the hatch. Indicates a clean seal. So, previously we learned that the Innsbruck station has been basically shut down. Like, they literally have no power right now. As time went by, and then the decision was made to leave Ogoro to head to Innsbruck. Come to find out, long and short of it is basically a terrorist team has taken over the power station, taken the engineers hostage, and then later on we're making demands to have an untraced FTL ship brought to them for their own extraction. Otherwise they're going to start killing people. No other demands were made that anybody is aware of at this time. And then, of course, we made contact with, I actually wrote this individual's name down. I think last session we were just kind of like deputy undersecretary to the assistant von Bullshit or something like that. I actually came up with a name with this individual. Pauline Schulman is we'll just say deputy chief. The actual chief, Greta Brunner, was unavailable at the time for undisclosed reasons. Anyways, so a question was brought up before we began tonight, and I think Charles was still dealing with his headset problems. But here was the question: how are we going to play this out? Because realistically speaking, half the crew of the ship would not be leaving the ship to go board a station that may or may not be under hostile control. My intent is that, obviously you have a contingent of effectively Marines. I'm not going to tell you guys how to handle the situation. Obviously, I want the players to figure this one out. I built this portion of the last session, this session, and whatever remains with the intent of basically throwing the big problem at the players and let the players figure it out. My intent with that is that, in a similar but definitely different manner to how we handled the Andrew Carnegie, you would use the ship's troops to take care of this problem. Doing the anti-terrorism sweep and clear, as it were. Now, because your characters aren't going to literally be in all that mess, because, well, that's not their job, the players will make some basic rolls to determine the overall results of individual scenarios that I have planned. It's not going to be a full-on combat thing. It's just going to be a couple of quick dice rolls, and oh, look at that! 1 or 2 people are hurt, one or 2 people are dead, and such happened. These people are now in control of the station. Something to that effect. With that in mind, it is now about 2000 hours, and you guys are on your very last, 30 seconds or so from contact. We've got Milligan probably sitting in the pilot seat with his arms just hanging as he brains the ship in closer because of his I want to be a cyborg fetish. I don't know if I should have said the word fetish or not.
It's useful.
It's not a far off approximation, I know. What is the plan? What are we doing here? Let's just say this. You've docked with a ship. You've got, obviously, ship's troops that are prepped and ready to go. There is a man supposed to be on the other side of the door, guide whatever entry team you have to the power station. What are we doing here?
Undock the ship. Reposition the ship to where the engineering is. Turn our engine on full burn. Cut them all inside. Problem solved.
There you go. That sounds like a plan. Except for the fact that one of your player characters was born and raised on this station, and he's got a whole ass family down there. Way to go, jerk.
I'm just looking at that, like my player character just immediately just looks with that horrified disgust look.
Yeah, it's like, what?
Hey, there's not a hostage situation if they're all crock-potted.
Crock-potted.
So I think realistically, I'd be lining up, maybe talking to the 2 troopers that were assigned to me, Carl and such and such.
Yeah,
Carl
we're trying to
get them
and Buford Aiello.
Yep, trying to get them lined up to.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
And get them lined up to be in the door, and that we need to go meet with somebody so we can be ready to kick butts and be all out of chewing gum.
The whole butt and chewing gum thing. There's words in there.
Yes.
All right, so let me ask this.
Yep.
Is Fritz Hellwig going to accompany ship's troops as they enter and potentially clear and fight their way through the station?
Oh, yes, because not only do I need to help the XO, as we established last time, that
the XO doesn't know how to bribe. I'm
exactly.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So we need to do that, and then I need to make sure that my family is okay.
Yeah, definitely concerned. I can see that.
Yep.
Okay. So we'll do some of this through your perspective. I imagine you're not going to be at the very head of the formation because, well, these are effectively, they're not quite Navy SEALs quality of troopers, but they're fairly competent most of the time when it matters. Yeah. And not really otherwise. Anyways, so the crew in the docking bay or just inside the ship's hatch, the light turns green, hatch is open. They cross the little gap. There's probably a little some sort of umbilical or some sort of corridor, maybe a couple of meters long, and they cross over in the 0G. Although if you're docked with a spinning station, I feel like you're going to have some centrifugal force imparted on the ship now. So regardless, long story short, you guys make it across, and there is indeed a person on the other side. He's wearing a standard security uniform with a skin suit prepped in case of loss of atmosphere, and he has just a simple sidearm. He identifies himself as Erwin Marx. If you were German, he'd probably say like Irvin, but I don't really care.
Yep.
And he makes introductions with probably Senior Trooper Kirsty Blaine, who is probably the lead team. Her and Buford Aiello and Spearman. They'll probably be the lead team. But anyway, he's over there talking with her. You probably overhear bits and pieces of it because you know the ground, and this guy knows the ground, but the troopers themselves don't know the ground. And of course, you've been away for at least a couple years, or at least a solid year, if not more, before that. You are in effectively something like it's not a very large station. It's a tourist station, similar to, for the viewer's sake, similar to, Space, 2001 Space Odyssey. Near the beginning of the movie, there's that whole sequence where there's a ship docking with this spinning disc in space. And that's kind of like what we're looking at here. So you're kind of sort of like in a residential section, maybe, personal quarters, family quarters, that you're kind of coming in through. You've made your way through like a maintenance hatch sort of deal to get into here. Erwin tells Blaine, come with me this way. I'll show you how to get down there. And his next thing is he's gonna take you down towards. Now I've not drawn up a map. I've only got like 3 major areas. If this was D&D, these would be like 3 encounters leading up to the power station. So the first major area, of course, is where you cross over from the ship, and it's basically just a basic, generic residential or pseudo-residential area. The next main area is, I've just called it the main promenade. By this point, Erwin Marks, he's gotten you down there, but he says to Blaine, and you could clearly overhear this, Hellwig, all right, I can't, I'll point you in the right direction from here, but I can't take you any further. I got to get back to the security station. His home base, or whatever you want to call it. He's got to get back to his security kiosk. Hellwig, you having been a cop previously, I'll let you make I wish we had like a actual awareness or perception skill.
Recon.
Yeah, recon, which is a dumb thing to use that for, but
Okay.
Yeah, give me just a basic recon and social. And if you don't actually have recon, I'll give it to you for 0 for this case, because this is just reading a person.
Yeah, no, I have recon, and I have.
If you want body language, that's going to be more like persuade or deception.
Yeah, I have a 2 in deception. I have a 2 in streetwise.
Okay,
I have a 2 in investigate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do streetwise and just add your social to it, because social interaction with another human being.
All right.
Perfect.
So an 8 plus 10.
Yeah. So you very clearly can tell, and you can even notice not just his body language, but you notice he's kind of sweating a little bit. And it's not so much sweat as it is perspiration, and it's got this sheen across his entire forehead, and maybe a couple of beads, but it's not it's not sweating from active. I can't think of the fucking word. Active exercise.
Exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is stress sweat.
Right.
He's scared, and you can see that clearly. He's scared, and so he's trying to get back to the security station where he knows. At least there's a couple other security people with him that he knows better than he knows you guys.
Okay, I'm gonna go up to him real quick and just because I see this, and I maybe grab Carl and kind of motion with him with some hand signals to kind of stand near me and maybe even behind this guy, and just grab him real quick and go, what do you know? How do you know? What have you seen on the videos? I know it's LinkedIn. I used to be a cop here. Come on, tell me the truth.
I'm fucking scared. These guys are terrorists. They came in with guns, machine guns. Okay, they weren't machine guns, but They came in with guns and battle fucking vac suits and took down the
Yeah.
power station.
And the guns were black, and they look scary.
yeah. I mean, he's
Alright,
stammering
alright,
and
so-
everything, so
so-
he's definitely he's
yeah,
shook.
so-
Like he's not ready for
Yeah.
this sort of thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, because most of the time, I mean, even though we're like starting to enter the forward half of the colonial arm
Yeah.
and kind of being away from things, this is not normal stuff. And
No,
I'm gonna
it's
just
not.
ask him, hey, what did you see? Did you see any markings on their battle vac suits? Because that's very unusual to see unless you're seeing like French armed military, space military enter the colony.
Okay, sorry, I was looking something up real quick, and I thought I was paying enough attention, and I wasn't. Could you ask that question one more time? I'm so sorry.
I said, so I'm gonna just relate to him. It's like, okay, well, I've seen the French military, Space Marines come in here, right?
Yeah.
With their tricolor and their la di la di da, and
everybody knows what those guys look like.
yeah.
So
But
the description he
what did
gives
their
you-
uniforms look?
So the description he gives you is that, and I gotta look at my notes real quick. So basically, what he describes is a kind. I mean, effectively, this would be like not modern. So this is like at least 1 generation old, possibly 2 generation old combat vac suits. Is how he explains it. He doesn't give
Okay.
like a specific model or suit type or whatever, but
Right.
he does explain that they've got an SG-77. Each of these guys looked like they had an SG-77s, and there might have been a Type 49 in there as well.
Okay, so effectively, like hey, this is like an old classic car type of stuff. Okay, so I'll step away from that. I'll whistle for Carl to come with me, and I'll walk over to Blaine, and I'll tell her this, and then I'll get up on the I assume our secure net, and I'll go to the XO and relay the same information that they're wearing older style vac suits, so this this may be a terrorist group. This may be somebody who just stumbled into a whole bunch of old school stuff, and maybe high pirates. This is some serious stuff.
Yeah, that was for you, XO.
Oh shit. Right.
Sorry, I should be.
Get away from your wife, damn it! Quit thinking about nuking it from orbit.
It's the only way to be sure, man.
Only way. Sorry, what? I totally blanked. I'm sorry, what?
All right, so
No,
the
so-
long and short of it is
go
these
ahead.
guys are wearing battle rated vac suits, or combat vac suits, right?
Right.
But they looked, according to the security guy, they looked like they were not modern or current era, but definitely 1 to 2 generations behind. So something that you would have seen, like, to use a modern analogy, a lot of the military guys, at least U.S. Army military guys, they're wearing interceptor body armor, or I want to say there's another, or just like plate carriers. Compare that, the current stuff, and then these guys are wearing the flak vests that were worn in Vietnam. So they're like 20, 30, 40 years out of date, but they're still effective as fuck. Like, they still work. They're just not the most modern. But they are carrying... Yeah, I already forgot what they're carrying. SG something or others.
77.
SG-75s, and you said a
Yeah,
Type something or other.
Yeah, SG-77, and there is a Type 49 assault rifle. According to what this guy says.
All right. So effectively, we have some heavily armored either pirates or heavily armored mercs on board this thing.
Yeah.
This may not be a full terrorist group.
And whatever they are,
Well,
they're
Generally,
certainly
terrorists. If we're using more like real term terrorist groups or politically motivated groups, so so have they made any political demands, or have they just made money demands?
At the moment, it's been more material. They just want to get a ship to get out of here, and they don't want to be traced.
Oh, then they're just robbing the place. So that
Yep.
that's different.
A little bit.
And what the hell is a stealth FTL ship? Is that a thing that exists in 2300?
Did somebody say something about a stealth FTL ship? I thought I said
You
untraced.
did.
Oh no! Oh, they just wanted what? So I said untraced, and what I meant was like, don't be trying to put no homing beacon bullshit on there. Is what I was trying to suggest, not an actual stealth. Because even if there is a stealth option, it's probably not going to be much more than like, how do we suppress our own radar signature and keep our electronics emissions to like very, 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 very low key. Because otherwise, I mean, an object in space, it's hard
Yeah,
to
there's no
hide.
the shorthand of it. There's no stealth in space.
Yeah, it's really hard to hide, basically.
And Terra Invicta, one thing I really like the fact is that for the majority of all the spaceship stuff, it's a perfect information game. There's
Yeah.
no way to burn from Pluto to Earth without having a Hellfire torch behind you, and you can't hide that.
Yeah, no, you absolutely cannot. Side note, if you look on page 64 in the characters and equipment book, there is the Stracker SG-77, and right next to it is the Type 49 assault rifle. That is what both an image and the stats are for reference for you guys if you wanted to pull that up on your PDFs or whatever.
Okay.
In the meantime, yeah, so at this point, Erwin Marks is, as soon as you left him, he didn't like bolt or anything, but he definitely was like, excuse me, he was definitely like, well, nobody's keeping an eye on me and nobody's physically restraining me. I'm gonna head back to the security kiosk. I keep saying kiosk because I think it's funny that it would be a security kiosk, but y'all know what I'm trying to say. He's going back to the security.
Yeah.
He's left.
Yeah,
He's gone.
there's like a security station where they hang out checking
Yeah.
ships and people coming in.
Yeah,
And he basically walked in and locked the door, just looking out the window.
yeah, and then behind that front office area is the back office where the sergeant is sitting there with a cup of coffee and a bunch of reports he bitches about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically right now you guys are currently on the main promenade. This is basically like a centralized section. It's mostly eateries and shopping and places from which to look down, I say promenade, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of was envisioning something similar to like Deep Space Nine, where you have like all the different shops and everything on one level, and then like the next level up is where you can basically look down on everybody and sneer at them, or people watch or whatever. Now, Hellwig would know how to get from here towards the engineering section, or the power supply section.
Yeah, and I would know where all the old camera setups are, so there may be some new ones. So I would, so that's the next thing I would do is like go up to Blaine, relay to her this information. That hey, these are heavily armored troopers. This is what I see, and I just say if we go this way, that way, this way, and zig instead of zag at this corner, these are all the blind spots are for the on-site cameras, and then I make a recommendation too that when I left as a police officer, and even when I left as a security agent for such and such arms dealing company, there was no robotic police force. It was still people walking the beat and patrol vehicles. So if we space ourselves out and do this, we should be able to avoid most them seeing us if they have access to the net.
Okay. One thing I do want to point out that I haven't really stressed enough: there is no power in the station, so.
Oh, okay.
Everything is basically dark. There's probably some like very low level emergency lighting, but basically at this point it is at very, very best some dim ass mood lighting.
So
nice.
But you do
I have a
in
question.
your suits, I would imagine there is some sort of low light or not infrared, night vision capability to some extent, and with the local ambient amount of light, like you should still be able to see from within your suit heads up displays. You should still be able to see clearly. Thurgor, you were about to ask something, I think.
Where we're docked on this station,
Yeah.
it has power hookups for a ship, correct?
No.
Granted, there's no power right now.
Well,
is it not?
So, what I was envisioning with where the ship is connected to the station is basically like some sort of external entry point for maintenance and servicing that would have taken you into like not directly into the residential area as described earlier. This would have been like the back not secret, the behind the wall crawlways so you can get in there so you can replace a water heater sort of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Where
this is a maintenance
eventually it
hatch.
would have made you, eventually you can make your way out into the actual public area, but it would have taken a few turns and then, a climb here and a crawl there and another turn.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. All this is like the under the street stuff
Yeah.
at Disneyland or Disney World. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if our engineering crew could patch ship's power into the station to at least supply power to the life support systems and that kind of stuff. And
Yeah,
if we can track our own people, like through the suits or whatever, we could also potentially provide them with power if they need it in some particular location.
I think the problem we would run into is the power requirement versus the power output of the ship. The ship is rated, without looking at the ship's notes, the ship is
I think it's
rated
120.
Actually, I think it's 50.
Oh,
I could be wrong. I don't have that.
Okay.
Let me open that up real quick because now I'm curious. But I don't know what the power requirement for the space station would be either, to be totally honest,
Yeah.
because that information.
I'm just talking about like just the life support or whatnot.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. No, the power output
Yeah,
is
it's 50.
50 units
Yeah.
of power, whatever that means in Traveler 2300 talk.
Yep.
So
That's not very
realistically,
much.
realistically, I don't think you. Now, I suppose there would be some sort of hookups. Again, this is only a maintenance access hatch. It's not meant for like. This is not where you would park the RV and hook up to water and power and be able to dump your sewage.
Right.
I suppose, but the other side of that is, you probably could fabricate something, but you don't necessarily have the time for that sort of deal because
Okay.
we're talking about something that would probably take a few hours at least, and that's kind of sort of outside the scope of what your intentions are.
Right. I would just wonder if there was some kind of quick connect for power, we could plug it in there and then somebody
and that
could
would
get
be
on them.
if this was like an RV parking spot, but this
Right.
isn't an
Or an
RV
actual
parking
ship
spot.
berth.
Yeah.
That would probably might be a complication. In fact, there's one-way power lines.
Yeah, that's the other side of it too, and that's where maybe you could jury rig something to. I can't believe I'm about to say this. Reverse the polarity. But you could probably jury rig something to allow for that. But as it is, again, that's kind of outside of the scope of what we're doing here.
Yeah, we'd have to spend too much time in the Jeffries tubes.
Jesus Christ! I was trying not to Star Trek this motherfucker. I already made the promenade a thing, so I was trying to that was as close as I wanted to get.
But the promenade's an actual term outside of that, so it
worked.
Yeah.
It worked. Like it allowed me to bump up to it without actually crossing the line. Reversing the polarity in the Jeffries tube, we're on the other side of the fucking line now. We need to come back. So Fritz, you know how to get through the next area. Again, no map, free arbitrary areas, abstract areas. Next area is going to basically be a restricted access area. Eventually, you and the troops are going to make your way through the promenade and into a section. Mind you, it's all dark except for a wee bit of lighting, just enough to see by. But of course, your night vision optics and whatnot are giving you clear sight. Excuse me. You managed to work your way through the promenade. You get to an area that is, at this point now, it's like clearly marked authorized personnel only. This is not open for the public. This is only, this is only for station related personnel, etc., etc. On one panel of a wall, it's clear that this is meant to operate a door. Oh, Jesus Christ. Let me read this correctly. Beyond the main promenade is a series of passages that lead to an area that is clearly marked authorized personnel only. Clearly, this is the area that is not open to the public, but rather to the people that run the station. One panel on the wall here, meant to operate the door, is blackened and only hanging onto its fixture by a thin strand of melted. I said plasteel here in my notes, but this is, whatever works in Traveler 2300. So basically, you got to figure out how to get this door open. Is really what this boils down to. Once you get through this door, it will lead you to obviously some more tunnels and passages and whatever, and eventually that will take you to the engineering room or power station, whatever you want to call it. So you got to figure out how to get through here. It looks like the panel that would have all the buttons that you would push several of them in rapid succession. It would cause the door open because that's how Star Trek does it.
Yep.
That panel has been blackened. You can, that panel, like I said, that panel is hanging by a thin strand of melt. Basically, it looks like melted plastic, and it's just hanging by a thin line of it. But there are some wires in there, of course, that you could kind of get in there and play around with if you want. But otherwise, you got to figure out how to get this door open. You've got the brute force method. You've got the play with the electrical wires, and of course, any other ideas that you guys might come up with.
So, although I want to play with the wires, I don't have a computer. Or I have a computer's one, but I don't know if that'd be enough to fiddle with this. But I do have explosives, and making something go boom maybe sounds like something fun.
Okay. But so I did put. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I did link it in or pin it in Discord. We do have a rough list of stuff on the ship for every man.
Oh yeah.
I don't recall plastic explosives or the 2300 analog, but I suppose there might be a little bit in there. Maybe you do have. There are grenades of various types that you could perhaps finagle something. So the act of blowing this door can be done. I'm just gonna need you to figure out how, so I can figure out how to make you roll for it.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, let me just go back to
Let me play
trying
with the wires. Let me play with the wires.
Yeah, let me go play with the wires. Because all of a sudden, I saw what looked like hey, this looks like really cool to all of a sudden become, oh, this is like an incredibly difficult decision.
Yeah.
This is going to be ugly. So yeah, electronics computer 1, and I'm probably going to use my intellect of a 1, so it's going to give me a +2 for my DOS modifier.
Sure.
And just see if I can try to hotwire it.
Fucking Wiggles. Look at the number pad and see which numbers are most worn. Wow.
Oh, nice. 11 2. Okay. Yeah.
You
So I'm at 13.
Yeah. So here's what happens. So you play with the wires a little bit. You pull your little a little mini comp type deal out of your suit and kind of jack in a little bit, and you start fiddling with things. There is a shower of sparks that hits you. I need you to roll dexterity, please.
Okay. 2 dice or 1?
2 dice. Check. This is a standard dexterity check.
Okay. So +1, it's a 9.
Yeah, and you have a dexterity of a 7. So, am I looking at the right guy? Yep.
Yeah. I have a dexterity of 11 which is a DM +1.
Oh, I'm looking at it wrong. I was looking at it wrong. My bad. Okay. Yeah. No, you're good. So you're gonna take. 2 points of damage. That
2 points of damage.
Your armored suit or whatever you got will probably absorb, and you're now a walking static discharge bomb. Yeah, so basically, you manage to make it work, but there's a shower of sparks that happens at the same time. You get zapped a little bit. It tingles. Your mouth feels weird. But eventually the door opens. It kind of does the whole slowly slide open, stop, stall, slowly slide open some more, stop, stall. And then eventually one of the Marines, I shouldn't say Marines because we're calling them ship's troops, but one of them grabs the doors and just does that whole Hulk Superman slides them open from the center type deal. Before we continue, I need to double check my timeline here. Crew on the ship. Your sensors are pinging a local French-based flight of ships without identifying specific classes, because I didn't actually put that in my notes. Milligan, you're picking up a trio of French fighters and what looks like a French landing ship, or shuttle, if you will. They are on quick approach, and they are headed, as it appears, dead center of the Innsbruck station.
Okay. So I make sure the captain's aware that there's incoming ships,
Okay.
and give me the best description of them that I can.
Yep. Again, me as the GM, I didn't identify specific classes, but your computer on the ship is clearly identifying them as effectively you have a shuttle coming in with 3 fighters flying escort.
Right.
The shuttle looks like the shuttle is one of those classes that it carries easily a platoon of Marines.
Yep.
And they are coming in hot.
Yep.
As soon as these 4 vessels approach, the shuttle does the whole like flips end over end, burns hard for deceleration, and basically backs its way into the hangar bay. The fighters, give me 1 quick second, guys. The shuttle does the whole flips over, backs in, burning hard to slow down for the landing. The 3 fighters basically peel off and move into they all 3 of them individually do their own little hard decel burn, and they kind of float near the station in a kind of a station caping sort of way. Probably a few minutes later, and this would coincide with about the time that Fritz Hellwig is playing with the wires to get through the door. There are reports. Well, there wouldn't be any real reports. What you get on the comms net via the shortwave is Pauline Schulman reporting that there are French Marines in the main landing bay, and it looks like they have engaged what appears to be a small team of terrorists that they weren't even aware were in that position. So effectively, there's a firefight in the hangar going on. And
Good. That'll
very briefly,
keep the French busy.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, very, very quickly after that, it's over. And it looks like there are 3 dead terrorists and 2 wounded that have been secured as prisoners. And the French team is now making its way through the station, believed to be on a similar mission to what the Flex personnel are.
Yep. Does the captain say anything about opening communications with them?
That's a good question. Would the captain? You know what? I feel like the captain would.
Yeah, we don't want them shooting up our guys.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, the captain definitely is he's gonna do a sort of like, hey, what are you doing? I've got people on the ground. Let's coordinate instead of running off and doing our own thing, because that's how people get killed. And of course, the French respond in typical French arrogance.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't say that. You know what? To be fair, the French of the 2300 era are a little bit arrogant, and they have every right to be, because for a long time, for about 200 years, they've pretty much been the #1 country on the planet, following World War III. So they have every right to be arrogant, not unlike some other country in the modern era, who doesn't really have the right to be arrogant anymore. Look at that. My kid is sending me a message on chat. They're in stream chat. Hello, boyo. Anyway, yeah, so the French come back in typical French arrogance of, this is the French arm, this is our authority, this is our responsibility. You stand down, we're not standing down. And we're going to continue. Words to that effect. Anybody have anything they want to throw in before we move?
Pastries.
Say that again?
Pastries.
Pastries. We're going to throw in pastries. Okay, let's see how that works out.
We can throw in a target lock on one of their fighters. No, I'm kidding.
That would not be a good idea.
Ooh. I don't think we're ready for space combat just yet.
No, I'm not ready as the GM. I'm not gonna lie to you. I know there's a lot of dice rolling for every single turn, and it can very easily go very bad, especially when your ship effectively has no armor.
Yeah, I've been playing Tower, I think, like 3-4 years now. I think I've done space combat 4 times.
I can't tell if Wiggles is talking to us or somebody off.
I think he is, yeah.
He's talking to us.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me well? Sorry, my headphones lit up.
Yeah, it sounded like you were muffled or something.
Oh, am I better now?
Yeah, you're good.
Yep.
You're good.
I've been playing like Traveler, I think, for like 3-4 years now, and I've only done like space combat like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Doesn't come up.
No, it's best that it doesn't come up.
No.
The ship could easily fall apart around you. All right, so that takes us to the engineering room. Real quick though, Hellwig, you're on the ground. I want you to roll 2 dice. I'm gonna roll 2 dice, and I'll tell you what happens based on those rolls. 8 to my 9. So this is what happens. Your team, you lead the Marines down a handful of corridors. Again, they're not Marines, they're ship's troops, whatever.
Yeah.
You lead them down. You don't really lead them, you guide them. You know, you tell Blaine, who is leading the front team, you know, hey, turn left here, turn right here. Hey, watch your head.
Yep.
All that.
Yeah, exactly.
You hit a door, and you know, almost instinctively, without even looking at any signs at this point, you know that on the other side of this door, it opens into a... Listen, I'm not a power engineer. I'm not an electronics engineer. I'm not an engineer. I'm going to assume that on the other side of this door is some big cavernous room with reactors and power grid stuff. Okay?
Yep.
This is the door, and I'm picturing in my head a large central room with a couple of offices and other work areas, maybe a break room, a locker room, some bathrooms, and multiple entrances, probably 2, into this big cavernous room. Your team hits this side, and as you enter, you hear gunshots immediately. And it takes a moment for everybody to realize that the gunshots are not being fired at you. They are being fired from the opposite side of this cavernous room at the terrorists that are already here.
Okay.
In short, the French beat you by literally 1 roll of a dice.
That's kind of fine. I was not really excited about I was not really excited about getting into this combat.
Well, I
right
wasn't
off the top of
gonna.
my head.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna run this combat as a full combat scenario. What I am going to do is, again, I want you to roll 2d6. This time, add your gun combat score.
Okay.
I'm gonna do the same, but I'm gonna add like a +2 as a generic modifier.
Okay.
Lucky for you,
Yeah.
I rolled shit.
I got a 13.
Yeah, you're good. Your guys, your ship's troops, or the ship's troops, they, as soon as that door opens, they do the standard, stereotypical military sweep and clear of the room. There are a number of rounds fired back at your people, but there is an overwhelming volume of fire returned, and the couple of terrorists that were on, let's say, on this side of the room are dealt with expeditiously. And as the last round falls to the floor, or excuse me, the last shell casing falls to the floor, you hear the French screaming something in your direction, and it sounds something like the French version of "Stand the fuck down, or we're gonna shoot you." Blaine is like immediately like, "No, we're not standing down. This was our mission. Who the hell are you?"
So I'm gonna have.
We.
Yeah, well, so I can speak French. I mean, it's like basic French.
Okay.
But I'm gonna announce that. Here, let me do this. So I'm gonna do that with my
Yeah, give me a French
intellect.
roll.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that with my intellect, so it's a +1 on this.
Oh Jesus, you managed to pull off some good French this time.
Yeah, so I'm gonna rattle off that we're from a civilian the Flex organization. We got called in. I'm a former security officer for this. We were trying to sweep and clear. Identify yourselves, or we will activate the security protocols for here. And I'm kind of semi-bluffing this too.
Oh yeah, I could tell when you said security protocols.
Yeah.
I'm also distracted by Milligan's omelette de fromage. I'm not even sure what that is. I know omelet is obviously eggs. I don't know
it's omelet with cheese.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and it's a meme because of Dexter's Laboratory.
Yep.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah. So I think there's some back and forth. There's definitely the mounting tension. People waving their guns like, "No, you back down. No, you back down. This is our run. This is our op."
Right.
Eventually, somebody manages to like get a hold of somebody to confirm this, that, the other, whatever.
Right.
du fromage, girl faints. Anyway, yeah. So eventually, weapons are lowered, tensions are still high. But overall, it looks like the bad guys have been defeated, and we can move a little bit into the cleanup phase. I gotta check my notes because there was another thing that was supposed to happen here. I don't remember.
Okay.
So there are a total of 5 engineers that were being held captive, and there are a number of terrorists. I think I had something like 6 total in this station, or excuse me, in the power station, and then I think there's like 3 more trying to set up like an ambush in the hangar. And this is all information that you will eventually gain through interacting with the French Marines or what have you, as well as everybody else. Because over the next several hours, it's going to take a little while to get things put back together. It's not nearly so bad as like when it took like days to get Andrew Carnegie back up and running. But here it's a matter of hours. Unfortunately, well, let me ask this or do this. I'm gonna roll. Let's see, how do I want to do this? Actually, you know what, Fritz, I need you to roll 1d6 for me.
1d6, Roger Dodger.
Okay.
2.
I'm gonna roll the other 1d6 here. Oh dear. I rolled a 5. Yep. Yeah. So 2 of the engineers are dead.
Okay.
It looks like 1 was actually executed, as per the "give us a ship or else" claims, and it looks like the other one died kind of slow. I don't want to say slow. It looks like he took a ricochet in the side,
Right.
and he not slowly, he bled out over the course of several minutes during the engagement, and of course the increased tension immediately after. So unfortunately, 2 of the 5 engineers are dead. Let me flip through my notes right quick to make sure I'm staying on track here. That's taken care of. I need someone to roll education, please.
I'll leave that up to either EXO or the pilot.
Yeah, this doesn't have to be anybody on the ground, but the information that this is for. Let's see how this rolls. Okay, well, you got the 10 plus that you needed. So over the course of maybe an hour or so of the we'll say post-battle forensics, whatever you want to call it, it is noted that each of the 5 or 6, however many I said a minute ago, each of the terrorists were equipped with body cams, as well as the ones in the hangar. And it looks like it looks like they were all recording and transmitting their own individual videos back to a separate single source that is presumably not on the station. Maybe it is on the station, nobody knows exactly where it went. But it definitely looks like it was a camera with a short-range transceiver or transmitter. So they were doing some wireless body cam footage type stuff.
Okay.
We were all involved in making a snuff film. God damn it, Wiggles. Other than that, again, like the biggest thing is, you've got these terrorists. They are all carrying markings. It looks like I know the thought I had in my head. I'm trying to remember exactly what it is, and then I got to describe what it would look like in this case. So each of them on their vac suits has a small. Okay, yeah. So there's a shield etched into their armor. Your stereotypical, sword and shield.
Right.
And on that shield is a central circle with a circle. Okay, I'm just going to say this. They're pantomiming the orbit of the Earth and the Moon around the sun on the shield. But it's all like circles. So you've got like the central circle that represents the sun. You've got a small circle drawn onto a circle going around that, and you have a smaller circle going around the Earth planet circle. I'll fucking draw this up at some point and throw it in Discord so you know what I'm talking about. But basically, it's a shield,
Right.
and on the shield is a very roughly drawn set of circles that is made to kind of represent the Earth and the Moon going around the sun.
So would we have recognized that from the previous dude selling tell us about the Empire of the Man and all that other fun stuff?
Oh, Roland Hartman?
Yes.
Make a roll for it. Education.
Do it.
All right.
Roll it.
Do you want to roll for it, XO, or do you want me?
No, you go for it. It's your question. You roll.
Honestly, I'm gonna. This roll is just gonna tell you whether or not that information was there, because I don't remember.
Okay.
What's your education? You
8.
got a 8 with a +1.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and give it to you. Yeah, you can identify this sign as one of a couple different symbologies or symbols used by the Empire of Mankind.
Okay. So I'll relay that back to the XO on the ship through our own comnet, and ask him if he wants us to talk to the senior trooper on the ground here with the French Space Marines, the French jerks, and I'll say it in that, the
You say it in German?
the jerkwad. Oh yeah, in German, and complete with they almost shot me, and I hope their vac suit implodes, and all the other kind of mumbling under my breath type of stuff.
Stupid French people. I said that with a French
Exactly.
accent. I don't know why.
Yeah.
All right, XO.
So
Give you a digital download of the stuff and talking to I'm sorry. I'm off track. Please don't let me interrupt.
Yeah, I mean, we can't claim into the body and stuff like that. The actual authorities are here, so like.
Oh yeah, they're definitely gonna grab these guys up, and I mean, at the end of the day, what's probably gonna happen is they're gonna process them, attempt to identify them, maintain some sort of record of identifying features, DNA, dental records, and then basically cremate the bodies, or maybe they may consign them to space. I don't know. Actually, yeah, they probably wasted more. It would be less waste of time and energy to just jump their bodies into space than it would be to burn them.
Oh, they're not gonna do like a full autopsy or anything like that, or?
I don't know. I don't know what cops would do with a dead body. I think the I'm trying to think what the Traveler 2300 Innsbruck station equivalent of a medical examiner would end up doing with the body. Like, they would try to identify it and maybe try to get it back to next of kin eventually, once the body's released from, any sort of chain of custody regarding the investigations.
They might have some kind of recycler too.
yeah.
Because Soylent Green is people.
Yep, they might render them down for water.
Okay, all right. Frank Herbert wants to talk to you.
Oh man.
They actually did that in Expanse on Sirius and whatnot. The Belters did that, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I do recall something about that. Anyway, yeah. Charles, I think you were about to say something.
Yeah. So I think at this point, not knowing how deep the conspiracy goes, or the potential conspiracy, or I want to believe stuff is going on, I'm just going to mention that.
Sorry.
To the senior, yeah. I'm tinfoiling.
I'm derailing. I'm sorry. Please continue.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go up to the senior French officer on the ground, and identify myself, and just mention that we again cover everything, that how we got here, that we were almost shot by his and I'll say something derogatory in German, troopers that, and mention too that we've seen this, yeah.
Cool way on talking a second time.
Exactly. we've seen this symbol once before and mentioned that we saw it at the whatever the previous station we were at with what's his face
Oh, that
brought
was
up.
on Nibelungen.
Yeah, Nieberlo. Yeah,
I think,
and
I think the French guy kind of gives you a look like he recognizes you being German. He recognizes this is not a symbol he's seen recently, and he's kind of like,
yep.
"Of course you've seen this symbol on a German, and we're on a
Right.
German station."
Yeah, well,
are
and
you sure you're not the problem?
And I'm going to mention it murdered one of somebody murdered one of our troopers, and I'll mention our troopers that we lost, and that
Wow,
he was found dead.
That's almost worthy of a deception roll because you don't know if that's really the case.
Oh, yeah, so I'll do a deception roll for you.
Yeah, go for it. Let's
For
see if
that.
that convinces this French guy. Go ahead and give me a deception.
Yep.
Let me see. What do you got? Deception 2, and
Yeah, so it's 7.
Social. Yeah, so you got a 7 total. I think we get like a kind of a skeptical look, like I'm gonna need more proof. I can't do a French accent now. I can't. Do it on command. I can't do it on command.
Yeah. No, I get it, and I'm gonna say, I know you need more proof. I'm just, we had to leave fast, blah blah blah. But some of the evidence that we've dug up initially seems to point that direction. But we're on our way out to do something else. We'll let you have all this stuff. I just need to check up on family and friends, and we need to get some fuel. So can you let us just stay? And I say, I'm gonna leave it up to the XO. Do you want me to tell them where we're docked at, and do you want to ask if we can go dock in the main spot?
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I think what happens is over the course of the next several hours, the first couple of hours is all like forensic processing and evidence collection and all that stuff, and of course getting the power restored. And I think so. You guys hit the station at like 8 o'clock. Let's say around midnight. The lights finally come back on. Or are starting to come back on, and then by like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, Milligan, give me a quick piloting roll. I really probably don't even need to ask because even unless I set the difficulty at like 12 plus, you're probably gonna succeed.
Boom.
You didn't even need your modifiers. Jesus Christ. So the ship easily, like smooth as glass, just disconnects from the half-ass hatch and slips around into the main holding area. Of course, Innsbruck, I'm picturing it not being a very large station. It's probably like a medium-sized station. So the hangar access port is probably a little bit smaller than one might expect. So Wayfinder, which is 400 tons and like 70-ish meters long and like 40-ish meters across wingspan, or maybe I got my numbers backwards, but it's kind of a tight fit, but it makes it fine. Because he rolled a fucking 10, naturally, and rolled something like a 52, I think, grand total, so he slides in like freaking butter or something, I don't know. Anyway, and then at some point, there's discussion between the captain, the XO, the local management, or agency that runs the station, and the there's no berthing fees, docking fees. Fuel is, you're topped off for free. XO, go ahead and add 50,000 to the ship's accounts. The French are taking the credit for securing the station, but the station is paying you.
That works.
Because you can't really pay France 50,000 for doing a good job. That's nothing on their GDP.
I realize this is the French arm, but this is a German station. So why do the French have jurisdiction on this German station?
It's a French system, and this is a German station in a French system, and it was the French.
So it's something they have to agree to.
Yeah, there's probably a lot more negotiating and diplomatic bullshit that gets involved. But basically, here is a German. This is like Chinatown inside San Francisco. And it was the Italians that came in and saved Chinatown. I don't know if that's a good analogy or not. It's probably
I don't know what that analogy is.
I'm sorry, what was that, Wiggles?
I don't know what that analogy is.
Yeah, it's really bad, actually.
Are we the Italians in that analogy?
I have no fucking clue, man. I made up some shit that doesn't even work. Anyway, so Innsbruck is a German station. Ogro is basically a French system, and it was the French military that showed up and killed the terrorists. They're taking the credit. There's minimal mention of Flex. There's like, and we got a little bit of logistical support from the Flex organization, but otherwise, it was the French that killed all these terrorists.
So while all this is going down, I would have been on top of the sensor guy to keep doing sweeps.
Uh-huh.
Has there been any other traffic out of the particularly out of the station, but or in the surrounding areas too?
Nothing that seems out of the ordinary. I mean, there's once the power comes back on, there's your normal, obviously your navigational arrays come back up. There's can't think of the right word. There's the communication that one would expect between a station and a ground-based station, insofar as like tracking a station's orbit and making sure that orbital parameters remain either unchanged or periodic orbital adjustments, things of that nature.
Right, but there were no ships that left the station, particularly like right after the firefight or anything.
No, maybe in the course of the last, we're talking like it's like 3 in the morning, making its way towards like 6 in the morning. There might have been a ship that left that was originally scheduled to leave before the power outage, but they weren't able to, and this is the first ship that actually got released by local traffic control.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, of course, a ship with an authorized, logged, submitted flight plan. So there's
And
nothing...
do they know where the terrorists came from? Did they come on a particular ship? Did they just all of a sudden kind of appear within the masses, or?
What they've been able, the local, the
constabulary.
Yes, thank you. I was debating about using that word. I was like, I'm not gonna get it. In my head, I can say it correctly, but once I try to put my mouth into it, it just doesn't come out. The local security assets and the local government, insofar as it's represented on the station, the best that they've been able to come up with is that these, I think we're looking at like 8 to 10 individual terrorists altogether. Either they all arrived together and then later acquired their gear and weapons, or they showed up piecemeal with their gear broken down that was able to otherwise be slipped through, and basically managed to make it through any sort of customs checks. Which, as silly as it may sound to us, you could sneak anything anywhere if you try hard enough.
Oh yeah.
It may not work several times in a row, but you can get it through at least once, if not a few times more than that. But yeah, the gist that the local authorities are coming up with is that these people took their time getting people into position, and they waited for some sort of either predetermined point in time, or they just came together and said, "All right, let's go. We got everything in order. Let's go." And then they made their attack. It doesn't seem to coordinate with or align with any other specific, like dates, times. It's just a matter of once all the pieces were in place, the maneuver was executed. You get all your pawns in the right spot, and then you make your castle move.
Yeah, did we, besides getting the ship, is there anything else logged? Like, did they try to steal anything? Did they execute anybody? Or, I mean, was there, like, like Wiggles said, is there any, demands for free such and such, or release the Krieg cut of the Gaylor or Greyland battles or whatever it is,
Oh man, Wiggles, I'm sorry, Charles, that was awesome. The way you made a reference to my Greyland Trios League, that was amazing. No, there is no political message that was released prior to the terrorists being shot down. There is in effect, he would be the intelligence officer of the local authorities, although obviously that's not his title. But the best that they're able to determine is that this group of people showed up, made their hostage attack, shut down power, and waited to see what would happen. within a given amount of time, and this is evidenced by the fact that it was apparently recorded, and that the recording information, the recorded data was transmitted to an off-site location.
Okay.
And by off-site, I mean somewhere else, either on the station or incredibly close by, floating in space.
Okay. So with that, I'm gonna say, with that knowledge kind of there, I'm gonna again go onto our secure net. Hopefully, it's encrypted. But if not, oh well. I'll say, I'll get the X up on, and I'll say karaoke. And I'll say, we need to go see Thing 1 about karaoke.
You could broadcast that in the clear, and people would just look at you and be like, "What the fuck is he talking about?" Clearly, that's not a code for something. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sinister.
Yeah, really. That's not sinister at all.
Bum bum bum.
Karaoke at Thing 1? Question mark.
Yep.
Yeah, sure. I will go and agree to that.
All right. So with that all said, I'm gonna go check on Mom and Pa Hellwig, and probably swing by the station, to go talk to the head police security officer, and then find my way. Yeah, Magruder, and then slightly leave a credit stick of stuff in the mailbox for the other one that we initially talked to before we docked, and for the French.
Pauline Schulman.
Yep. For Schulman. Yep.
$150.
Oh, the 150 Libra. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then just say hi, what's going on, how things are going, da da da. We're glad to hear, blah blah blah. And then I gotta go. You'll get messages from me later, and then bebop on out back to the ship.
Okay. I think when you talk to checking with your mom and dad,
Yep.
I don't think we ever determined if you had any siblings or anything.
No.
Good.
I'll leave that up to I'll leave that. I mean, we can talk about that offline or later for something else.
Yeah. No worries. I think the gist of it. Well, let's just assume for the moment that you are, maybe you're the middle child,
right,
and that the older brother and or sister, the younger brother and or sister, are somewhere else in the universe and not here, but mom and dad are. Yeah. This is their retirement, not retirement home, but like this is where they are, and they probably intend to stay here because they've lived here all their lives and they don't want to have to move. And they definitely were scared. They definitely had some real, almost existential fear. When the station went without power for several hours. I mean, the station was without power for something close to 12 hours, if not longer. And that's a long time for a space station to not have power. Especially when that sort of disruption to the daily routine is entirely unexpected. It's one thing if the station loses power for an hour because somebody has to pull out an old hard drive and put in a new one and reboot the computer.
Yeah.
That's one thing. You can live with that. It's like, losing water to your home for a day. No big deal. You just save on water and don't, wait a day or two before you take a shower again. You're in space and you have no power. The only thing keeping you warm is the fact that heat doesn't radiate in space.
Yep. Yeah.
If anything, it would probably start to get hotter.
Yeah, exactly. It probably did. So, they were definitely they were probably going a little batty for a minute there. There may even be a mention of like, hey, maybe we should go live on the surface of some planet with a good atmosphere. Maybe not in a floating tin can. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ma?
Right.
When you check in with, other than that though, they're okay. They're doing well. Nothing terrible or weird. Whatever. They're just mom and dad being mom and dad.
Yep.
You said you were gonna check in with Greta Brunner, the chief of police.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you had a previous relationship with her. And by relationship, I don't necessarily mean a personal one, but it was definitely a work relationship.
A professional one.
Yeah, professional one.
very much professional. I guess the best way to describe it might be that we came through academy together and did some stuff. We're on the same patrols, maybe not patrolled together, but on the same
In the
patrols.
same patrol shift.
Yeah, and then Steve was more, I don't want to say
Corrupt.
power hungry, but no, but
Ambitious.
she was more ambitious, and I realized that the security force was just a little too shady for me, so I left.
Yeah.
And then the allure of, and again, serving under the vice, whatever his name was.
Pauline Schulman.
Yeah, serving under Pauline Schulman. She was the more willing to look the other way when pirates came by and sold gear, or things fell off, and I'm air quoting, fell off the back of the truck.
Yeah.
Type of stuff. And
I think what we get is I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
So no. I mean, but I'll put it this way: she's been in that position now for way too long, and she's seen a lot of people advance over and above her.
Yeah. I think what we get to is Greta she did have a bit more ambition or drive to go up in rank and more responsibility, more authority. Not necessarily because she was good at it, but she was definitely better at getting there than others.
Yeah.
And maybe Greta was a little bit on the take every now and again too, but not anything serious. Maybe she looked the other way because somebody who had done something bad was about to catch a beat down.
Yep.
Pauline, on the other hand, probably a bit more deep into the corruption side of things, where was definitely taking bribes for looking the other way, or would purposely forget to patrol that particular block for a couple of hours so that a deal or two could be made.
Or that cargo box could come through without being too deeply inspected.
Yep, exactly. When you check it with Greta, she's actually kind of misses you a little bit. Not so much in a personal manner, but it's good to have you knowing that if I needed you, I could call on you. And now you're like dozens of light years away at any point in time.
Yeah, and we're doing the whole remember so and so when they did this.
Yeah, you remember Johnny with the lisp and how he always wanted to talk shit, but it always sounded so stupid coming out of his mouth.
Yep.
Because of the lisp.
Exactly.
I gotta be careful. People might get offended by the things coming out of my mouth.
So I mean, with that, I'll mention, I'll tell her that, hey, I mean, it seemed like y'all were overmatched for this, for what happened. I'm not saying look at Pauline, but you and I both know there's a reason why she's living in the Lake District, while the rest of us were kind of living at the Robot Arms. So I'm just at the same time, this was heavy duty gear they came in with.
You know what?
And
I want you to roll me investigation real quick.
Okay.
You've got 2 in investigation. You can use education. That's 3. Give me a 10 plus.
Okay. Let's see what happens.
Well, there you go. You got like 12.
Oh yeah.
Fucking killing it tonight. Okay. I think what you end up getting in this conversation. Hang on one quick second.
Yeah, no worries.
I think what you get in this conversation with Greta and some, not necessarily backhanded comments, but some very suggestive or insinuating, or damning comments, in fact. Greta won't necessarily, you won't know this information necessarily right away. I think eventually, maybe in a few days or something, you'll get an email from Greta indicating that Pauline, while she was not directly related to this incident, some negligence on her part is part of what led to it happening in the first place, and eventually I think Pauline is going to be fired and may actually be taken up under investigation herself.
Right.
And I don't want to get too much further into that.
No, that's okay. I mean, again, it's like the Paul Harvey of the story, at least up to a certain point.
Yep.
So I'll just mention, hey,
that's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah,
Can't get his
basically.
voice. He's got that silky, dark, almost
Mhm.
husky, deep voice for that line. Anyways,
Right.
please.
Right. Anyhow, yeah, and I'll mention too that hey, I'm doing well with this, and it's great to have you. Still see you're doing well. Next time I'm through, we need to catch up with coffee, and maybe make this under better circumstances, and just keep a watch out for mom and dad, and then my younger brother Herman, he's running with something or other, and again, we can play this catch up
Yeah.
offline, and then Angela, my older sister, she's doing well. Last I heard, she's working over towards the
Angela, I
I
remember
mentioned.
Angela. She tried running that fucking scam for 3
Well,
days down by the docks.
yeah, yeah, she always thought she was smarter than the average bear, and then she got caught. You remember Sergeant Holthouse, and she got caught by him, and
She still had over
eventually
3 grand on her when she got caught. That's
yeah,
the villain
well,
part.
yeah, well, and then he kind of like he told her to straighten up, and he kind of scared her straight because he took her over to that one. You don't know that you didn't know this, and let me lay it out like this. He took her on that shuttle run over to such and such, and whatever the next closest station is, where
Probably
the
the
hardened prison.
The
Yeah,
Ogro main
and
station.
yeah, main station where that hardened prison is, and
Yeah.
he took her through there, and he pointed out, "Do you want to be in here, under sedation, under robot shock, and such,
Oh,
locked
God.
down like this?" you know, and she immediately squared herself away. And last I knew, she was working as a paralegal for so and so,
Some law firm
and
back on Beowulf.
yeah, yeah. But she went back towards the core to kind of find herself. And last I knew, she was doing well. I mean, she put me up just before I kind of went through the academy for this thing. And I
This
kind of
thing.
run my
Flex.
hand across the flex symbol.
Yeah.
Um, so, yep.
All right. I want to go ahead and fast forward a bit, unless anybody else has anything they want to get into in and around Innsbruck regarding recent events. I'm gonna go ahead and take us to the next evolution, I suppose.
I'm just curious if there was any comm chatter that we picked up with the thing.
At the ATV.
Yeah.
So anything relating to the super secret spy comms, has not yet pinged anything to you guys. I believe you were initially down at the ATVs, hoping that maybe the camera footage was being sent there. It was not. In fact, here's what I will allow, because it has some relevance to part of what may or may not happen next. Somebody give me a communications role. Paul Gray, I believe, has I think everybody has basically a +2 for their skill, like their total DMs. A
I have
+2.
higher than that.
All right. Because
That's one of my.
Wiggles is sitting at a 10 at the moment, so if you feel like you can beat that.
Well, I mean, if she's already rolled a 10, then we'll just let that slide.
Okay, well.
Yeah, but that's one of my reference library chips in my head, so I get a total of
Okay. Well, here's what I'll allow
plus
this.
5.
Yeah, I'll allow this, and you and your goddamn +57s. Here's what I figure out. Or here's what I think happens. I think when you and Wiggles and Charles eventually meet up at Thing 1, you guys kind of do a little bit of a brainstorming a little bit, and relaying what you know of the incident, what you guys let me my brain running right here. Fritz knows what happened on the ground, and shortly thereafter, you guys know what happened in space. You guys are basically comparing and contrasting notes, putting together a timeline as best you can with what you do know. Somewhere along the way, you realize, of course, none of this camera footage is sent onto this super secret communication thing that you guys have been trying to monitor. But it does give you the idea to maybe go back in the signals logs sensor return logs and see if maybe you could pick something up about where those signals were sent and where they were received at. And what you end up finding is that there was indeed a small, low-powered ship. Let me rephrase that. A small ship, probably about fighter size, but unarmed. So basically, it's like a cockpit, an engine block, and some, maneuver controls, and a very tiny, but apparently somewhat potent commo package and sensor suite. There was a ship basically floating no more than maybe a few meters off of the hull of the station, hiding effectively in a, I'll say radar shadow, even though you get the idea. Somewhere it's basically hiding in a shadow of the station that you only picked it up when the Wayfinder repositioned from the hull to the main hangar area. And that you believe that's where the camera footage was transmitted to. There are no other sensor log returns on this ship. Like, it's almost like it's there and then later it's gone. That makes sense so far?
Yeah.
So a theory could be constructed that small-ass ship was put there specifically to receive the camera footage and then to get the hell out immediately after everything went south. Almost as if... I'll go ahead and give you this freebie. Almost as if they expected the operation to go south.
Well, of course they did. They sat there and waited for the French to come, knowing what the result would be. And that's why I was so keen on having them watch the sensors closely to see about departing ships and whatnot. Because I figured there would at least have been somebody in charge that didn't want to die, that would have positioned themselves to be able to get away.
Oh, the secret truth is darker than you believe. I've already insinuated some keen observers, perhaps 3 of them sitting here at my table, virtual as it is, can piece it together. Perhaps some people out there, or even at this table, have some idea of how a terrorist cell may or may not actually function in the real world.
Oh yeah.
It was the butler. Damn it, Wiggles, you fucking nailed it. Why did you have to throw it out there like that, though?
With the knife.
With the knife in the power station room.
Yeah.
It's the steward.
Excuse me. Okay, I need to make a real fast die roll myself. 1. That is... So, I said the power started coming back on, I believe around... Did I say noon or 3 for when the lights were coming back on?
I think you said noonish.
Or no, I'm sorry. Yeah, not noon. I meant midnight.
Yeah.
We'll go with midnight. So, it is now, see, Monday. Let me update the overlay real quick here. Monday, 11th May. It is now Monday at about 1900 hours. And it appears as though the ship is ready to depart. Local authorities have released you guys, the ship, the crew, etc. They've given you the 50,000 Libra for the ship, even though the French are taking all the credit. They are also giving each of the individuals that came aboard the station an additional 3,000 Libra as a special bonus for their specific actions. So, Hellwig, go ahead and add 3 grand to your own pocketbook.
Okay.
50,000 to the ship's pocketbook. And now we have, at 1900 hours on Monday, the 11th of May, we have Captain Briggs ordering the bridge crew to prepare for disembarkation, or not disembarkation, what am I looking for here? Prepare for departure. Somebody roll 2 dice for me. This is for the navigator, analyzing the latest navigation data. It is time to get on our way to fucking Beowulf. Alright, 8 minutes. Update my thingy here. God damn it. I'm fucking this up. Let's do this.
So was that the astrogator or the sensor sweep for
That was
hazards?
the navigation data. Yeah, Marshall Tran, the
Okay.
navigator.
Okay.
The next step is, let's see. I need 1 dice rolled for the sensors operator scanning for local threats. This will take 1 hour, or excuse me, 1 dice hours. So I need someone to roll 1 dice for me. 1D, because it always feels weird when I say 1D. 4 hours. So now it is 19 and 4 is 23. 8. Before I'm updating my notes so I can keep track of time here. Give me just a moment here. Departure. 19 hours. 11th day. 4 hours. Added that in. All right, and now Navigator Tran determines proper course towards Beowulf. This will take 1 dice times 10 minutes. Somebody roll that for me, please. 1 die times 10. $30. Oops. 19. 8. And then, Mr. Wiggles, if you could please roll for your wife calibrating the stutter warp drive. This takes 1 die hours.
Oh, 1 die hours. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
3 is the first die I rolled.
Let's go with that. That sounds good. 3 hours, so not 19, but 23. That means it is now 23 and 3 is 26 minus 24 is 02. And lastly, Senior Pilot Milligan rolls Intelligence 6+. Excuse me, Piloting Intelligence 6+. We even really need to make this roll.
It's up to you.
That's a 23. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I mean that sounds right, actually.
I think it's a 13 or something like that.
Yeah, you're good. You
Yeah,
fucking
for the
made
most,
it.
when I run travel, I don't really ask a lot of piloting rolls because it's hard. They could take their time, right? And the difficulties aren't that high for a lot of stuff.
Well, actually, we do need. Well, the way we're doing it, we kind of do need the roll. So you got a 9 plus 5 is 14. That is 8 times 1 die hours. Oh, well, that was helpful. So you just cut 8 hours off of your transit time.
Okey-doke.
Oh no, wait, I did that wrong. Okay, 1 die hour. Oh, so it takes. Okay, hold on. 1 hour. Do that. That makes it now 0338.
And then my effect is what affects the time, right?
Yep. So now I gotta roll 1 more time. So it's 8 times this. 40 hours. So instead of taking 78 hours, Jesus Christ, you cut a damn near 2 whole days off your transit through FTL. This gets cut down to 38
And that means we burn less fuel, right?
Right.
Supposedly, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's actually 38 hours. So that's gonna be time of arrival at Queen Alice's star system is going to be 3:38 on the 13th. Add 12 hours, 15:38, and then add 2 more, 17:38. Add 12, 48, 50. So basically, what did I say? 17. Jesus Christ, my brain.
You said too many numbers.
I did. And now my brain can't remember what I was coming with. Okay, so 36 hours is 24 hours plus 12 hours. So 3:38, 15:38, 15:38, 17:30. Yeah, I was right. 17:38 hours on the, not the 12th, not the 13th. No, 12th, the 13th. No, it would be the 13th. 13th of May.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is when you arrive in Beowulf. So Excuse me. Jesus, what an exercise in mathematics that was. Do you guys have a day and a half between departing Ogoro and arriving at Beowulf? What would you like to get into while you're transiting through space at faster than light velocities?
For me, since I'm still studying, I'm still working on trying to study my sensors to upgrade it to a 0. That's all I'm going to be doing is studying. Yeah.
Sorry.
To become trained in it, at least.
Yeah. To gain basic proficiency. You're still studying. Is there anything else you want to get into? Any scenes you want to do?
Not necessarily. Just because I already relayed everything of importance from the from Innsbruck Station to the XO and obviously to the pilot now to Joseph Milligan. So I'm just kind of like trying to play it cool and just briefly checking my email to make sure there's no random messages again going off the ship. And maybe just trying to chew through
you're doing that
some of
thing
these.
that I do every day. You're just like, God damn, seriously, nothing? Like it's been days.
Yeah.
It's still nothing. And
Yeah,
you check
yeah,
like 17 times in 6 hours.
Yeah, like sending a test message out to the IT server. Does this work? And waiting for the
Is this thing
yeah,
on?
it seems to be working. Damn.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thurgor, what would you like to be doing with Mr. Milligan during these 38-ish hours?
I'd like to talk to the XO about putting somebody on that sensor data for that ship, to see if there's any information at all that we can glean from that to help us search for that ship again. Because, we had the suspicion we were being shadowed all the way here, and that ship would definitely meet that bill, to be able to do that.
Okay,
and so if
you're
there's
looking at
something
doing
about
like a
drive signatures or whatever, power
yeah.
signatures, something that we could specifically search for in our vicinity to see if, we've got a tail or whatever, if it's that particular ship anyway.
Okay.
But I don't want to involve the bridge crew with it because I don't want the captain overhearing,
So you
me
wanna talk
asking
to-
the sensor guy to go through all that.
All right, so just to be clear, you don't want to talk to the sensor operator.
I want to talk to XO first.
Okay.
I thought he had some sensor skill, but I'm not 100% on that.
He probably does. He's got a little bit of everything for a damn ship.
Right.
I do have sensor skill.
Yep.
All right, go ahead and interact, please. Action, as it were.
I have gray eyes.
You have gray eyes. Okay, noted.
I'm sorcerer of the light.
Not sure what that means, but anyway, go ahead.
I approach the XO and say, I really think we should go through the sensor logs a little more closely. That ship was obviously some kind of stealth ship. We know we've been being followed. And maybe if we can get something specific out of that sensor log data, we can perform a more specific sensor sweep to see if that thing is still out there. But that I don't want to involve the bridge crew because I don't want the captain overhearing us, and we don't want to scare him off if he's part of the problem. Or tip our head.
Is there a size limit for stutter warp in 2300 AD?
Well, while we were sensor sweeping that thing, it wasn't using its stutter warp, so it would have to be something else.
Yeah, there is.
I forget
there
how
is
it
a size
works.
limit.
Well, if you look at Ships of the Frontier, the ship construction rules, I don't recall specifically, but what I do know is there is a formula used that involves the mass of the ship and the power dedicated to the stutter warp. So theoretically, you could build something pretty small. I just don't know what that small end is. Like what numbers would be needed. Like what was the smallest possible.
Okay. Another question is, do our fighters generally stutter warp capable?
Yes.
Some are and some aren't.
Let me double.
No, they're all stutter warp capable.
I want to say the Martel is, and because that's a French fighter. And I'm pretty sure it's got a basic stutter warp. And there's like a God, I know earlier versions of Traveler and or 2300 had a, I don't know what to call it, they had your jump or your stutter warp, and then there was like a subclass variant
So-
that was meant for
so for-
smaller stuff.
So for Traveler, 100 tons or less can't jump.
But they
It's
still
it's
have
almost
a
the
stutter
same.
warp for in-system transit, I
Yeah.
believe. I could be
Right.
wrong.
Yeah.
And I want
Most fighter crafts just don't have the range to make inter-system jumps.
Right.
They only have
can
like a
still go
24-hour or maybe a 48-hour, set of life support, even with their backups. So they generally just don't have the range to make those long jumps. But they do have stutter warps. I mean, a missile is a small thing. It has a stutter warp because it
Yeah.
has to be able to hit a stutter warp ship.
Yep. Double checking right now. I want to say the one ship I'm thinking of is the Martel, and it's only like it's pretty small. It's like 10 or 12 meters across or something silly like that. I'm trying to find it right now in the book.
Yeah.
In the meantime, go ahead and keep going with your scene there. Actually, don't do that. Stand by. I'm gonna find it. Now my brain's running it. Commercial lander, combat lander, commercial light space plane, cutter, Martel 60-ton fighter.
Yep.
It has a stutter warp capable of 3.29 light years a day and 2.12 AU per day for in-system transit. So that thing could actually fly interstellar. That is a 60-ton fighter.
What was it? How was its life support duration?
Life support.
Some of them are as little as 12 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a specific number. I'm also kind of skimming through it quickly because I don't want to spend too much time on it. It does have 1 ton of cargo, so theoretically you could put a bunch of food and shit in there.
Oh, no.
Yep. Does not. I am not seeing specifically. It's on page 78 of book 3, Vehicles and Spacecraft. If anybody wants to look it up while
Okay.
this is going on.
So that small ship can just be trailing us.
Could be, yeah. And by the way, dimensions. This thing is 25.5 meters long and 12 meters wide, and weighs roughly 60 tons. So, just as a frame of reference, having a ship that small with stutter warp interstellar scale travel is entirely possible.
All right, good to know.
And you
That's
can
something
always
like-
like carry more life support with you. It's just not a comfortable trip.
Yeah, and you can you can also carry and just real quick, like you can always jury rig carrying extra mass. It just changes the number of how far you travel each day when you're at stutter warp velocities. Because again, of the formula, the mass times the power gives some number. I don't remember the exact formula. Anyway, long and short of it is, having a small ship with interstellar travel is entirely possible. And by small, I mean I'm talking about something like,
Yeah.
something
So the
small
power
like
plant-
F-14.
The power plant on the Martel only has fuel for 24 hours, and then it has an emergency power for another 24. So its range is 48 hours.
So basically, it can make 6. It could just barely make 7.7 something light years
Right.
a jump.
And if there was a good of a pilot as me, of course they could do it in half the time.
Anyway, please continue your conversation with the XO regarding sensor data and signatures and comparing and contrasting between 2 different profiles.
Yep. So I just asked the XO, is that something, information that he can crunch and see if we can gain something useful out of it? Because sensors is one of the few things I don't have.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like we should have like all the copy of the data, right? I mean, like hard drive space is an issue, right?
No, it's not. What you would definitely have a profile of the ship that you guys detected hanging out in the shadow of the Innsbruck station. Somebody probably would have at least constructed a partial profile for that ship that you guys had detected a few episodes ago. And when I say detected, that's really giving you guys an awful lot of credit, because the fact that you guys were traveling at that time at FTL speeds, your ship couldn't tell if it was half an astronomical unit or 100 astronomical units away, and the number kept changing every second. And it was not a very good read. It wasn't even, if I remember right, it was more of a suggestion of a ship than it was an actual ship being detected. So it was one of those things where the computer's like, yeah, here, I'm picking up a bunch of shit. Kind of looks like it could be something, but I can't freaking nail any of this down, so it might just be, it might be a dead bug on the camera lens.
Okay. So we have approximate size of the ship. That means that when we get the sensor log, we can cut out all the sensor contacts that are bigger than that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we can only go through only the smaller stuff. I will also now start arrange a contest for the bridge crew. Right?
Okay, hold on one second.
Sky.
Wiggles, I don't know if it's just me. I hope it's just me, but I am not picking you up very well anymore. All of a sudden.
No, I'm not either.
Okay, how about now?
Good.
There we go.
All right. Well, okay. The position of this mic is very sensitive. I have to remember that. Okay. So remove most of the data from the sensor that gets through that. That'll make it easier to travel through. And then I'm going to set up a contest for the bridge crew. Is I don't know. You'll get 15 or 20 Libra if you spot the smallest object and during your shift, right? So that way the sensor crew will start looking for small objects.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. I like this
And
idea.
the disguise for that is just to keep them on their toes, make them hone their sensor skills.
Okay.
And that's just me being a good XO, just making them do their training without without them making it be really tedious or having mom to watch over their shoulder.
What is the smallest thing that you can pick up on your shift with this sensor suite?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. Okay. Anything else?
I don't know. That's all I think of.
Okay. Wiggles, is there anything that you want to get after yourself?
As far as my characters go, sleep.
Dream about that dirt bike ride that you never got?
I'm never gonna get it. That's fair.
Yeah, no.
Sensor contest.
Threw a little bit of salt at you there.
I'll talk to the comms guy. I'll invite him in. I will invite him into the XO's office in such a manner where he feels like he's in trouble, just to set the tone.
Shit. Oh, Paul Gray, the guy that's been giving Charles's character all the data and nothing for the XO. Okay. Yeah, no, you get a very timid knock on your office door.
And then with a sharp reply, enter.
Paul Gray walks in. He's trying to exude confidence, but on one hand, he has no idea what he's done wrong. On the other hand, he knows about this, we'll just say conspiracy. He's also heard bits and pieces of other scuttlebutt, and has an underlying general distrust of the XO because he doesn't know where the XO truly sits in all of this. Whereas, on one hand, he trusts Hellwig to a point. He has no idea where Commander Wyatt sits. So he's trying to be confident and show it, but it should be noted that it is very obvious that he is very uncomfortable being in your office right now.
Yeah, so he enters the office and he stands in my office. I'm just gonna ignore him for a solid 5 minutes. I'm just gonna be looking through various paperwork or whatever, or maybe even just stalling for time.
You're looking through all those times you were checking the stores to make sure everything was up.
Right, the goal is just to make him drown in his own sweat,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah, and he does start to actively perspire across his forehead. At one point, he does reach up and. He's done the cleared his throat a couple of times. He's obviously reported in, XO, you wanted to see me, and then of course no response, and then he's just kind of standing there. He kind of
I'm asserting dominance.
Yeah, clearly, and he even does one of those things where he's like, he starts to take a step towards to sitting down in the chair across from your desk, but then he's like, no.
Was not invited.
Yeah. He's like, he doesn't. So at this point, he's just completely off balance. And then he finally, after just short of where you want to break the ice or whatever, he says, "Sorry, Exo, I thought you wanted to see me. Should I just go back to my station?"
Almost done.
Uh-huh. Yes, sir.
No, a minute. Take a seat.
And he sits down, and there's like, he tries not to make it audible, but it's an audible sigh. So, what can I do for you, Exo?
So I'm gonna surreptitiously turn on the bug jammer, as which is now my inborn habit.
Charles, cone of silence meme.
I'm gonna stop bringing it up, but it's now SOP whenever I'm discussing this.
Okay, I'll try to remember that.
Yeah. If you think there is shenanigans happening on board of a secretive nature, you don't tell as many people as possible because you don't know who's involved in it.
Are you saying this in character, or are you saying this to me?
I'm saying this in character, yeah.
Okay. I think Gray just kind of gives you one of those, like, definitely confused looks, like,
You told Hellwig.
And Hellwig is the only... Okay, I see where you're going with this, Exo.
And I don't know how many other people you've told on the ship. The ship is very small. I don't know who's at fault. Please shut the fuck up.
That's me laughing, I'm sorry. He kind of sits upright, face flushes red. And he's just like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. The only person I've talked to, oh, this probably doesn't help me at all now. The only person I've talked to is Hellwig and you. And frankly, I still don't know if I can trust you, sir. I'll be honest with you, but you two are the only ones I've talked to about this.
Yes, no, thank you. Don't bring it up anymore. It's
done.
Yeah, no, 100%. You are involved in this, regardless if I want to or not. Based upon your predilection to apparently tell everyone, I'd prefer if you were not. But you got to play the cards you're dealt. And I guess I will give him some of the sensor log data, and I will give him the parameters to search for. Because he's got electronic zero, so he knows the basis.
Yeah, he can at least sift through some of the data. He's more of a commo guy than he is a signals guy.
Yeah,
but there's definitely some overlap there, I feel like.
100%.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Anyway, and Hellwig told you to get a new computer. Did you do that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, good.
I think Charles, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he end up getting like a subdermacomp? I mean, spent a couple of days recovering from it.
Right.
Yep. So he was brought back, and we told the ship's dock, and so that should have been logged in as a medical record thing, and da.
Yep.
And so I'll give him a copy of the sensor logs. I go through this. This is your parameter. Just highlight anything that strikes you as a small ship about this size, and give it back to me. And don't did he roll 12s?
No, he rolled fucking snake eyes. Please continue with whatever instructions you want to give him. Maybe there'll be a reroll in there, but as it looks right now, he's kind of sifting through these numbers, and he's just like, I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. Like, none of this makes sense with what I do know. But please.
Whatever. Look, I'll be happy to walk you walk you through some of it or to train you up, because surely you're probably due for some kind of evaluation test, because everyone is on this ship.
Yeah.
Go through it on your time. Examine it only on your private computer. Don't talk to anyone else about this. If you notice, what else? What else are we doing? We're doing weird stuff with the comms. I told him to put like a checksum on all legitimate comm numbers and like that. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. We got that checksum. I think also wasn't Paul Gray involved to some extent with establishing thing 1 as a secondary Snoopy sneaky spy commo thing?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so he's
yeah,
definitely
because
aware
he
of
had
all
the
that.
yeah, he has the electronics to kind of help wire it all up.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I think what we get ultimately here is that Paul Gray, regardless, Paul Gray ends up sifting through all the data that you give him: sensor signal returns, comms logs, all the data files, etc. It very quickly looks like he is completely out of his element, and a couple of times it looks like he's able to. If you imagine like a person swimming, that doesn't really know how to swim, and every now and again they manage to get their footing or they get the rhythm right and they can keep their head above water, and you're like, oh cool, he's getting it, and then they go back down again, and it takes them a minute or two to figure it out, and they're able to bob their head up, get a little bit of air, and then they struggle all over again, repeat the process a few times. This is what you see with Paul Gray. I think what we ended up getting eventually is he's able to come up with a means. He validates the theory that the cameras on the terrorists did indeed transmit their camera footage to that tiny ass ship. He can't quite pin down the exact, we'll just say 3-dimensional coordinates of where the ship was when it received the commo burst, but he does indicate in a certain line of digits where that signal was bursted out and when it stopped, and then it corresponds with the date time signature of when the Wayfinder lost signal track on this tiny ship because of the positioning of the two ships. So he can basically, without saying 100%, he basically validates the theory, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, he's lost. If it's not,
Yeah, that's what
if it's not specifically
I'll
communications, he's lost.
I'll try to throw him a little bit of a bonus. Like, there are I am aware more information than you are, but for your own safety and due to your speciality, I am not going to inform you of that information. The less you know, the less you can instantly tell people.
I'm reminded of that AFES or the AFN. The more you know. Except in this case, the less you know.
Yeah, I've never dealt with this before. I was a freighter captain doing short runs around Seoul for 40 years. This is entirely new to me, and I don't know how dangerous of a situation this is that we're now in. You are in this situation, I am in this situation, and Hellwig is in this situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not.
Good.
Yeah, and I'm leaving obviously Mulligan out of it, because not saying he's part of the part of the operation cell.
No, but I think from Gray's perspective, he's not aware of Milligan's level of involvement.
Don't feel as this is an opportunity to prove yourself. Don't see this as an opportunity to advance in ranks. Operate with this as small as possible due to how unknown this danger is. This may simply be corporate spying, and in which case there is little to no danger at all. It may be more serious than that. We don't know. I will tell you that it's expensive as hell to have a ship keep on trailing us, no matter how small it is, which means that they're putting in tens of thousands of credits to do this, which means they have to figure that the information they're getting of us is worth at least twice that amount.
I think Gray kind of gives you one of those like, holy shit, I didn't think about that kind of looks. And he's like, yeah, wow, that runs a lot deeper than I was. Jesus Christ, they got that kind of money, that kind of resources. This is not just.
And how expensive is a bullet?
Yeah, like, I mean, a bullet would have solved so many more problems than doing this.
Yeah, no, they're spending tens of thousands of credits to do whatever this operation is, which means that whatever the information they're getting from us and our ship is worth at least twice that amount in order to make it worthwhile. I don't know what that is, but I do know that this is killing money.
Yeah, this is XO, if you need me
I
for
don't-
anything, I can help you. But you're right.
You will
like, I
do
don't
as
think...
you're told, and regardless to this. If I give you assignments, do them to the best of your ability. I do not expect you to be able to ace them because I don't know what acing this thing is.
No, I hear you, loud and clear. And I think what we get is like he's like legit. Like, I got you. Like, I will do what I can. And I hear exactly what you're saying, but you're right. Like, I am not, like, my hands are off. I'm not diving into this any further than what you put right in front of me because I don't, like, I think he's basically coming in the same lines of thoughts that you are, in that he's out of his element here. If it's not something directly in front of him that he can add 1 and 1 and come up with 2 or 0, it's not going to make sense to him. And it's going to be beyond his ability to reasonably understand, and therefore... It's just going to be outside his ken. Like, the fact that there's so much money involved, that this might be corporate espionage, or this might be a terrorist takeover sort of thing. Like, he's just out of it. You know what I mean? Like, if you give him a problem, he'll solve it. But if you require any deeper thought than that, yeah, he can't do it.
The best way I can keep you safe is for you to what? Shut the fuck up.
Shutting
me. Shut the fuck up.
Shutting the fuck up? Aye, sir. I think he may actually say that with a bit of a smirk, but he definitely, like, in his eyes, you could probably tell that he's like, no, I absolutely concur. I am definitely shutting my mouth. Kinda wish I hadn't got this stupid computer implanted into me now.
Unfortunately, you're involved with this regardless if you want to or not, which means that whoever the other opposition is, they'll see you as a fair target.
And suddenly he's like, I'm gonna go get me a gun and it's gonna stay under my pillow now. Thanks for making me paranoid, XO. He doesn't say any of this shit, obviously. But there's a flash of this across his face.
No, but what I'm telling him is true, though. He involved himself, therefore he's a fair target.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
no way for the inside that knows how involved he is. They just know that he is involved.
Yeah, and I think that's where he's starting to maybe piece some of this stuff together in his head, insofar as, hold on, I found some anomalous data that I brought into the XO. He didn't seem to act on it very fast, which made me concerned about whether or not he was the right person to bring it to. So I went to Hellwig, who definitely acted on it really quick and actually kind of helped me figure some shit out. And now I'm not just dabbling my toes in the pond, I'm up to my fucking eyeballs in pond water, and I'm scared that something in the pond is going to kill me now. And I think that's kind of where Paul Gray's, for lack of a better thing to call it, that's his story arc right now. Is this guy who dabbled his toes in the water and realized, suddenly I'm up to my eyeballs in water, and there's something in the pond trying to eat me.
I don't do spy stuff. I'm a trader. I sell people stuff they don't want. That's what I do.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Anything else before we move on?
I had something.
Okay, go for it. Yes.
Yeah, go for it, Million.
I had a second point to make with the XO. We can either pretend that I forgot at the time and I'm coming back to his office, or we can just pretend it happened back then. It doesn't matter in the flow of the conversation here. It is really something extraneous.
Yeah, sure. Whichever's fine with me.
Okay. So I asked the XO, I'm like, I noticed we don't have a cat.
I'm sorry.
So-
I'm only laughing because I just, literally in the last few weeks got myself a cat. And I almost
I know.
wound up with, I do. And I was like, no, that's not what he's talking about. Shut up. Please stop letting me interrupt you. Please continue.
So, it's
A
like
cat?
a ship is supposed to have a cat. It's not lucky not to have a cat. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to get a cat at Beowulf.
Check in with the CMO to see if everyone's got an allergy, and if no one does, go for it.
You got it. Thank you.
I'm now going
And
to
I
roll.
go straight to the CMO.
I'm now going to roll for a 4+ on every single crew member, and anybody that fails that roll has a cat allergy.
But that's okay, because there are some non-allergenic cats.
There is.
We just have to know if I'm going to buy a naked cat or a cat with fur.
Right. All right. Anything else, guys?
Nope.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and update my overlay again. Excuse me, because it is now somewhere around 1730 to 1800 on the 13th of May. Excuse me, which is a Wednesday now. Actually, yeah, let's do this. Let's make it Thursday, 14th of May. It is roughly midnight, between midnight and 1, and we now need to update this. This is actually got updated to...
Since I saved so much time, does that mean we get to go on a dragon bet hunt?
If only it worked that way, right? Bale, not Baleful, it's Beowulf, dummy. I know how to type. Okay, we have made it to the Beowulf system, and we are now about 6 hours into the transit. It is roughly midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to assume that the three of you are currently asleep. Would anybody, for any stupid reason, be awake at this time?
I would not be.
Charles?
Being awake? No, I think I'd probably be coming off duty and just like, grumbling about the 4 to 8 or the 4 to midnight watch and just coffee in bed or whatever it is, and that's about it. I'm not really awake.
Gotcha. Okay. And lastly, the XO. Are you awake? Are you going to bed? What are you doing?
It's 1 in the morning.
Captain keeps you pretty busy, several hours, beyond your normal shift. Maybe you're exhausted. Maybe you're trying to finish up some paperwork. Maybe you're in bed already.
Yeah, I'm in bed where I'm watching when the wife and I are Netflixing something.
Okay. In that case, I need Milligan and Helwig to roll endurance for me, please.
Okay.
Oh, like I have endurance.
No, you're awake. You don't need to.
Bum, bum,
All right,
bum.
Milligan.
7.
Do you have a +3 in your endurance by any chance?
No, I don't.
All right, and Charles, or excuse me, Helwig, do you have a +2 in endurance by chance? I don't think.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
So
I was straight 0.
Okay, so the three of you, your, we'll just say email fisherman's net ping goes off, but Fritz.
Oh, I don't have that, by the way.
Oh, you don't
only
have
the
that?
two of no, only the two of them have that.
Okay, all right. Well, in that case, Helwig, your link device / subdermacomp, whatever it is, whatever system you got, it goes off.
Yep.
But you sleep right through it. So when you wake up
Yeah.
later, you will have a notification indicating that there was indeed a message received by the ship, and it is sitting, or that message came in and hit thing 1. XO, you get a ping, and it says something to the effect of "message received," signed thing 1.
I yelp with anticipation and excitement, probably much to the chagrin to my wife.
Yeah, I bet.
And it's like, no, the
Netflix and chill, babe.
the thing we
The thing.
That's right. The thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you
I'm
go.
saying that as I'm like putting on the skin suit so I can leave my quarters in a somewhat decent position.
Okay.
Anyway, it received the message. I'm gonna go down to the vehicle bay.
All right, Wiggles. I know previously you had mentioned something. I don't recall if it was dyslexic specifically, but definitely a reading disability. Not disability. Difficulty in reading things. I'll put it like that. I'm going to send you a direct message. This is the message that is waiting for you when you arrive at Thing 1 in the vehicle bay. I know it's going to be difficult for you to translate. But at your leisure here, please do the best that you can.
Oh, not shit. I'm going to put it through JetGPT. That's what I'm
There
gonna
you
do.
go. Run it through. Yeah, because I'm sure he's got that on his subdermacomp. Everybody has ChatGPT on their links. It's now like a mobile app, not much different than like Duolingo, where you earn points and level up by learning more languages.
Following text.
It's a modern version of TikTok.
Yeah, there you go. TikTok and Candy Crush somehow combined.
Yeah.
Extract now. New assignment for you. Transport matching closing. ETA 20 minutes. Extract notification. Disable in order to prevent pursuit first.
Okay. Do you now you've read that out of character? Do you transmit that or otherwise share that information with anybody else?
Okay. So, do you want me to? Is this a player challenge or is this a character challenge? Because if it's a player challenge, I think I fairly solved the riddle.
I think you did too. Close enough as a player.
Okay.
Now, for you, the character, this is literally what you received. Obviously, the information was encrypted, and whatever software you guys installed did what it could, but this is what's left over. Not to mention, data packets not always being fully received, things of that nature. Did he?
I am going to go to the bridge. And I am going to do a fire drill in. I'm going to do a fire drill. Where I'm going to do a fire drill? I'm going to do a fire drill in the habitat ring.
In the hab pods?
Yep.
Okay. What is the procedure for fire drills in the hab pods? Where do they
I don't know.
Everyone's
gonna wake.
Everyone's gonna wake.
No, but everyone's gonna wake the fuck up and put on spacesuits because in the Navy everyone's a firefighter, right?
Yep.
That's what I hear.
Yep.
It's probably going to be to vacate the pods and to shut them down so that they could be vented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
probably be the easiest.
That makes sense. All right. Yeah. So this takes probably about 10 minutes. Let me backtrack a little bit because I've got a little bit of a timeline here that I'm working with. No,
because even just reading the book minutes, it says ETA 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna throw a big fucking wrench in whatever that is.
Yeah, I hear you. Give me half a second here. I gotta pay attention to my son for a second.
Yeah, no problem. Gotta be dad. Dad's important.
Okay. So you get down to the ATV. This probably takes you a few minutes from your initial, oh my god, we have a ping. I imagine you spend a moment or two looking at it. It takes another couple of minutes to get up to the bridge to announce your fire drill. It then takes, let's just say within about 10 minutes, you've got everybody that was off shift or otherwise in the hab pods. They have exited the hab pods and are now assembling somewhere in one of the main areas of the main body of the ship. So probably like cargo, vehicle bays, the briefing room, things of that nature.
Yeah, and a head count too, right? Got to make sure everyone managed to evacuate.
Yes, and from what you are aware of, you have everybody in the crew accounted for except bridge personnel, engineering personnel that were on duty. Let me rephrase that. Everybody on the crew is accounted for, like where they are as part of this fire drill, except bridge personnel that are on duty, engineering crew that are on duty in the engineering room, and the captain.
And I'll go around to my clipboard and it's like, okay, everyone's got their suit skin on, right? Don't want to breathe any noxious gases. Everyone's got their PPE. Everyone's got their fire equipment. Yes. Everyone's know where their buddy is, right? Yes.
Everybody knows where does everybody have their fire buddy? Yeah. I think we've got most of the people more or less. You've got probably a couple people that maybe out of panic or whatever showed up either drag-assing with their skin suits, or they're just maybe, like one dude's actually carrying his skin suit and another person just totally did not even bother to put it on.
All right, and I'm going to put a red marker on his head, and you're dead because you breathed in some noxious fume and passed out. Good for you.
And yep, he sits down. He basically finds himself the bulkhead somewhere and folds his arm and drops his head so he can go to sleep.
I'd be like fair, but also not what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Where's my notes at?
All right. Let's all go pretend to fight this fire. All right. It's a blazing 1200 degrees Celsius in there, and it's gonna breach those airlock walls if we don't get it down. we're ready. Evacuate the air. Make sure there's no holes outside, and you get in the EVA suits. Come on, let's go.
All right. So give me just a second here. I gotta look a couple things up really fast.
Yeah. So my goal is with a major fire like this, everyone has to be doing something. So
Yeah.
if someone's not doing their job during emergency drill, people should call them out on it,
Oh
unless I mark them dead or injured.
Yeah, and it should be looking like pretty obviously, like, okay, how soon is this over? Because I gotta get back to doing what I was doing. Or I'm looking for, something.
I think what you see is, again, you've got, there's probably, I think Tran is on the bridge in the pilot slot. Like, obviously, not much active piloting is required when you're more or less flying a straight line.
Oh yeah, no,
But you
space
still have
is
to-
empty.
But you
So
still have to kind of monitor in case, it's time for mid-flight correction or, suddenly debris in front of you. Stupid shit like that. So you got to keep somebody, at least one person in the pilot position, and probably somebody on sensors. But you probably
and
don't
it's
need more
probably
than
like
two people.
it's probably like the FFA regulations or whatever.
Yeah,
and-
exactly. And then you've probably got probably two people out of the, I think, 6 of your engineering team. And again, this is a similar thing. Like, you got to make sure somebody's monitoring the engine and the reactor, or in this case, the starter warp drive and the reactor, just to make sure that that, oh my God, somebody forgot to tighten down a nut and bolt 3 days ago, and now everything's overheating now. That's sort of stupid thing.
In an emergency
this is-
situation, would the seniors take their positions?
If they're off, I would imagine. So it was initially reported as a fire in the HAB pods.
Mhm.
Right.
Because the emergency is localized, they wouldn't necessarily go to their duty stations if they were in a position to assist in resolving the problem.
Okay.
Maybe the Navy would do something different. I don't know. But I feel like something along those lines. It's probably kind of a 50-50 sort of deal.
Yeah.
However,
And then
as you're making your way back into the HAB pods to go fight this notional fire, alarms start blaring all across the ship. It is loud, deafening, red lights flashing, almost akin to red alert. Give me one quick second. My son wants something again. Sorry, I guess he was just standing there in the corner of my periphery. There is a rumbling through the ship that quickly escalates and then subsides. There are alarms going off all over the ship. From the bridge over the intercom, captain to the bridge, and then subsequently to that, engineering team report to engineering room immediately. Damage control to the engineering room.
Sabotage.
Indeed.
and then without missing, there'll be a moment of some confusion, and then Wyatt will then start to redirect people to get out of practice mode and start attending an actual emergency.
Yeah, this is not a drill. Stop fucking around. Get to your places of,
Yeah,
duty
and
positions.
and he'll like give a good shove with the person who went back to sleep that I'm claiming dead.
Yeah.
Now it's an actual emergency. Get the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. So right about the time you're like, hey, dude, like, no, this one's for real. The other one was a drill. This is not. This is no bullshit. Power goes out. The lights go out. There is no, I feel like
And
just kind of like when you fly like on an airliner, you can hear the fans of the air conditioning or the air circulation. None of that is running, and about 45 seconds to a minute later, it comes back up. But it's clear that this power is now running on secondary backups or emergency power.
And that's fine because we got a lot of fire gear on, and that should include flashlights and helmets and stuff.
Yeah.
So even though so
Like,
I got everyone in an emergency kit, so we're good to go.
Yeah. And then
Was that?
And then you hear captain to the bridge, pilot to the bridge, Pilot to the bridge.
I head that way.
Okay. When you get there, Mr. Milligan, you are briefed by Navigator Tran that you are currently in flight to the planet Beowulf for orbital insertion, and you've got like 20-ish hours, because I don't recall, and I'm not going to look it up in my notes because I'm kind of winging to some degree some of this. You've got about 20-ish hours of flight time left. However, you no longer, the flight station or the pilot seat, whatever you want to call it, no longer is accepting flight input. So in other words, if you tell the ship to roll or yaw or change pitch, it's not doing any of it. It's just flying dead stick.
All right. And the captain's on the bridge at this point?
He is not.
He is not yet. Okay. I'm going to go to the captain's quarters
Okay.
because I can't do
Tran
anything
is
there.
looking at you like, bruh, where are you going? I need...
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I said there's zero helm control. We need engineering up here, and I need to talk to the captain.
What is the... You can't just jack in and, like, fly the ship?
It has no helm control. It's been blocked out.
You're shitting me, right?
Nope.
How do you know that?
And because I just jacked in and checked, right? Yeah.
I think it's something
Because
like
my
that.
first,
Yeah.
because my first instinct would have been to pull us off course, some direction or other, so we don't plow into whatever it is, station or planet or whatever we're headed for. So I would want to try to adjust the course a little bit, but with no
there's
control
like zero
whatsoever.
response. Like you tell it to, angle the nose up 10 degrees and right 15, and then it's just like
Right.
no, zeros across the board.
Yep. So we need a computer. We need a computer specialist up here, and I need to talk to the captain.
Okay.
And so I leave at that point. I don't wait for him to have any more discussion.
All right.
And I go immediately to the captain's quarters.
Captain's not in there.
As soon as the light goes out, Wyatt will make his way to the armory, and then he'll get a contract links to Hurst, and he will then direct her. Arm your troops, boarding action.
All right. I think that's a great place to leave it. So we have Milligan en route to the captain's quarters. We've got the XO ordering the ship's troops to action, prepare for boarders. And just so we can have an idea of where everybody else is, where is Mr. Hellwig?
Sleeping still, unfortunately. I mean, he just can't hear anything.
Yeah. He's been out the whole time. I think the alarms would have woken you up. The
alarms would have woken me up, but I would have looked at I'd have been looking at my arm and then realizing that either I don't have the vibration item set or the loud annoying rooster crow, whatever it is that you laugh. I worked and lived someplace else where someone bought an alarm clock with that, and that lasted about a week and a half before it mysteriously went over the side. But anyhow, or whatever.
Mysteriously, you're quoting the fuck out of it too. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. But then I'm down at thing 1, thing 2 with my 2 guys, and I'm just saying, hey, okay, the power's out, alarms are going off, we need to prepare for some hostile action, and then I'm in there with thing 1 trying to best either cover up or paint over or something that our jury-rig radio communication device, so it doesn't look obvious that we're trying to skim for something.
That you were trying to be super sneaky.
And I may be holding a large wrench in my pocket or something like that, because I don't want to be using the weapon, a firearm on the ship, because explosive decompression is uncool. Okay.
Got it. Okay, so we've got Milligan en route to the captain's quarters, and basically at the moment we say cut,
All right,
is
I just lost
literally
audio.
walking through the door to the captain's quarters. We've got the XO on the horn with Troop Commander Hurst saying, "Spin the troops up, prepare for borders," and we've got Hellwig with a big ass wrench in his pocket in the front seat of Thing 1, attempting to dismantle the super sneaky commo array. Did I miss anything?
No.
Okay. We have a brief, we'll call it a cutscene, an outro, if you will. We see the captain in his vac suit, excuse me, not vac suit, skin suit with helmet on. He has a duffel bag, and walking along with him, or floating along with him at this point, because now he's in the main fuselage of the ship in one of the side corridors, is one of the engineering officers, and we could tell it's an engineering officer based on his rank as junior engineering officer. We see a name on his tag. It says Randall.
That son of a bitch.
As in Morton Randall. And they both approach a hatch, one of the primary access hatches to the ship. One on each side near the bridge. I forget exactly where it is. So the potential of crossing paths is possible, but I'm going to GM hand wave it that Milligan doesn't run into them. And we see the hatch open. Some decompression happens inside that tunnel. A couple of bulkheads slam closed. Some alarms go off elsewhere in the ship. And the captain and Morton Randall basically free fall. Who did I lose?
Hellwig.
I'm still here.
Okay. We see the captain and Randall essentially free fall and into the open hatch of a very dark hold ship that is apparently matched velocity. It is only a few meters off the hull of the Wayfinder. And then the hatch closes. And that is our cliffhanger for next episode. Charles, everything good on your end?
Oh, they go quiet again?
Looks like it.
Oh, no.
I think he's trying to reestablish comp.
Yeah, I see he did post something in TTS chat that he just lost audio, so hopefully he can hear us. But to reiterate, essentially the captain and one of the junior engineering officers have DD-mowed off the ship and into another ship, despite the crazy velocities that may or may not be involved. Although, theoretically, if the two ships are traveling at the same velocity, it shouldn't be that hard. Yeah, captain and engineering officer just jumped out of the ship. Let me get some thoughts for tonight. We'll start with the no longer intern, Mr. Milligan. Thurgor.
Well, it looks like we have our own ship now. We just got to fix it up. It's just a fixer-upper.
Yeah, at this point, what a great line. We hear some rumblings and some alarms are going off all over the place. Yeah, it's just a fixer-upper, but it's ours now.
That's right. So I think it went good. This looks like a good place to stop. I wish we didn't have a break just to get on to the next season, but hey, it is what it is. I know you got prep to do and all that stuff.
Yeah. And I think the most we'll take in between next session and the following session, the most we'll do is 2 weeks.
Okay.
I think a lot of that is just kind of to build that dramatic tension a little bit, if that makes any sense. Also, just to kind of give me a little bit of a break for the week, for that week and the following week potentially, just so I can relax a little bit and not have to stream not literally every single night, but because
I get it. Yeah.
Obviously I haven't streamed a lot this past week or last week even, just because of different things. But it gives me a chance to unwind, so I'm not pressured as much to keep pumping out content as it is. Not that I am pressured to pump out content, because I'm having fun doing this. So.
And you're not making a dime.
And I'm not making a dime. I wish I were, though. That's why I got into streaming in the first place, was so I didn't have to go and bust my ass in a physical sense every day with a real job. But here I am. I'm enjoying it, so.
Where are we headed? Is it a station, or are you going to land planet side?
You are en route to orbital insertion around Beowulf with an eventual deorbit and land.
Okay. So
that was the original filing, or the originally filed flight plan was to land on the planet Beowulf.
Okay.
So,
and that's going to happen one way or the other at this point. So
yes, because you are currently, your current flight plan status is, or your next waypoint, as it were, is orbital insertion burn.
Right.
So, if you miss that, well, that is a way to land or potentially burn up in the atmosphere.
Yep.
It's a good way to end the campaign. We just become Stardust.
We just die.
Oh, there's some lifeboats, right?
No, there isn't actually. The closest you would have is you could get 5 or 6, 8 people maybe. No, you could get 4 or 5 people inside the ATV. Excuse me.
And push it out the cargo.
Good. Yeah, you can push it out the cargo, but the most that would do is it would just follow the ship.
Right.
With a slightly different orbital trajectory. It would still burn up in the atmosphere.
We might could strap a bunch of EV sticks to it or something to
there you go.
Push it away.
Hellwig, how we feeling, man? You good?
I'm good, yeah. I don't know what happened, but I lost audio on my main computer, so I had to switch over to the phone and jump through all hoops.
Yeah, I feel you on that. So the only thing you really missed, and I'm just going to summarize, and this is actually a pretty good little summary of the last few minutes. There was an explosion on the ship. Power went out for about a minute or so. Power came back. And then when the quote-unquote episode ended, we have that little outro teaser where it's the captain and one of the junior engineering officers, Morton Randall. They're making their way out basically the EVA hatch of the ship. They do a little free fall into a waiting pseudo-stealthy ship.
Okay.
Yep. So that just happened, and that's where we ended the
That
episode.
just happened.
That's where we.
All right.
That's where if this was a TV show, that's where the credits would have started.
Right.
Fade to black and all that. So, since we have you, and in case we're about to lose you, let me go ahead and get your thoughts for the episode. Get your outro stuff.
I thought it was good. I'll admit it. I really wasn't ready to go into combat with what we have. For that thing on Innsbruck Station, it was kind of cool to see the French guys show up. But at the same time, I know it wasn't intentional, but it felt like that little bit was a little bit rushed. But I still feel like we. It was a good set of scenes, especially then catching up and kind of building a contact for myself to have as well, even though I didn't get one during character creation. So that I think that works out well.
Oh, with Greta.
Yeah. Other than that, I was really happy with everything that happened. So I'm not. There's no complaints in my end one way or the other. So.
Good deal.
Yep.
Wiggles. Thoughts for tonight?
Yo.
Closing thoughts for the night?
I think my contest for the censor thing was really smart.
I think actually that was really nice. I didn't think about it, and I'm always, I feel like in the last couple of weeks, you guys have thrown a really weird wrench in my general direction that I've not accounted for. Not that I'm sitting here and trying to account for every possible permutation of a response, but the wrench this week, and there was one or two, the week before or even before that. It's nice to get these weird thoughts thrown back at me. So I do appreciate that.
And I think doing the fire drill in the hat was probably one of the smarter things in that situation.
Yeah.
The goal was to get everyone up and everyone in emergency gear.
And start trying to get accountability of everyone.
Yeah, smart. Unfortunately the captain is the only one that can wander around and no one really can say anything.
Yeah, and kind of why he was able to get away so easily. And when you're walking with the captain, no one's going to question you. So, all right. Well, we do get. I'm going to offer a post-credit scene. Excuse me, a post-credit scene because I forgot to do this when the time was appropriate. So I'm going to give a very quick little dealio. Let me just find it in my notes real fast here. Where did I put that block of stuff?
In your notebook?
Well, yeah, it's in my notes. I'm just trying to figure out where in my notes I put it, but I just remember where I put it. So, this would have gotten. So we get like a very quick little timestamp. So as you know, our session closed in the wee morning hours of the 14th of May. So we get this little timestamp of about 11 o'clock on the 12th of May. A video is released across first the local. I'm going to say local internet for the Ogro system. So all the different stations on Ogro within the span of a handful of hours, they all get this video of a person speaking / narrating through a variety of different clips of video. When you guys, as your characters, encounter this video, because you probably would have picked it up at some point along the way, you may not, depending on how things play out, you may not actually see this video until after the events of next episode, but eventually this will be player character knowledge. These video clips are various shots as seen from the body cams of the terrorists, and it shows in various points when the team initially attacked the power station. It shows some of the time while the terrorists were holding the engineers hostage, and then it shows leading up to the terrorists being shot down by both the French and the ship's troops of Wayfinder. Throughout this narration, the message is repeated over and over, words to the effect of, this was an easily accomplished task. It was easy for us to get in here and capture and shut down the power. Look how long it took for the local authorities to respond. This is unacceptable. Only the Emperor of Mankind can protect the human people. Only the Empire can provide humanity's safety. And that's basically the gist of this propaganda bullshit.
Okay.
And that is our cutscene. Since I kind of took over the last few seconds there because I forgot to do that earlier, you guys were supposed to get that while you were in transit to either to Beowulf or the first few hours of being in Beowulf's system.
Mm-hmm.
Any further final last comments before I start shutting this down?
No.
Nope.
All right, Wiggles, you got anything?
End of line.
All right, my friends, that is it for tonight, and that is it for this week. Initially, I was going to have something planned to stream on Sunday. It was going to be the finals for the Greyland Trios League, but then I remembered earlier today that I'm going to have to reschedule that because we have a local thing going on down here in my town that involves some fireworks that night, so I'm not going to be available to stream the finals for the Greyland Trios League, and I got to let the guy know who's going to be my opponent. I got to let him know, then we got to reschedule. So more to follow on that. However, next Monday, Celasta Crown of the Magister returns. Next Tuesday, Blood and Glory returns. And next Wednesday, the season finale of Second Star Season 1. And I just want to close with this before I click the button. The Emperor protects. I did not intend to have Warhammer 40k cross over into Traveler 2300, but here we are. The Emperor protects, my friends, and you should do what you got to do to take care of you and yours, because the Emperor is out there watching out for you. All right, I'm out of here, guys. Have a good one. Thanks a lot to my players. I had a great session. This was good. I really hope I was able to pull off some of the surprises. I don't know. We'll see how that pulled off. I'm going to talk to him here for a moment or two after I close the stream. Anyway, if I keep talking, I'm going to start rambling. So I'm going to get out of here. Have a good night, my friends. Stay safe.